So today, President Trump and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth will host hundreds of high-ranking military leaders, admirals and generals at the Quantico Marine Corps base in Virginia.
Alexandra Hoff is live at the White House with the details. Good morning, Alex.
Well, good morning to you. So these orders came down last week for those ranked 1 star and above to meet with Secretary Hegseth this week. Now, the original invitation, it did not cite a reason. So, of course, that fueled some speculation, mainly surrounding the pledge that Secretary Hegseth made to make cuts to the General Officer Corps. Then came the announcement that President Trump would be attending today. And he told NBC that this meeting is celebratory. He said, quote, "It's just really a very nice meeting, talking about how well we're doing militarily, talking about being in great shape, talking about a lot of good, positive things. It's just a good message. We have some great people coming in, and it's just an esprit de corps. That's all it's about. We're talking about what we're doing, what they're doing, how we're doing." Just last week, President Trump signed an executive order directing law enforcement to counter domestic terrorism and organized political violence. That's on top of his Make America Safe Again vision that he's called in really the National Guard to help carry out. So he's been very intertwined with the individuals who he will be seeing today. Also, according to the Military Times, the Pentagon has a new strategy right now that's expected to focus on threats to the homeland. That's by increasing lethality, deterring aggression, confronting adversaries with a focus on China. So the president here is expected to depart in about an hour. Quantico is about 35 minutes south. Not only is it home to the Marine Corps base there, it's also home to training facilities for law enforcement and intelligence agencies, guys.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. My God, I actually pity those poor bastards we're going up against. By God, I do. We are advancing constantly, and we're not interested in holding on to anything except the enemy. We're going to hold on to him by the nose, and we're going to kick him in the ass. We're going to kick the hell out of him all the time, and we're going to go through him like crap through a goose. Be good. I will be proud to lead you wonderful guys into battle anytime, anywhere. That's all.
Gets the people going. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live for President Trump's speech soon to every single flag officer in the United States military, all gathered in one room for the first time since World War II. You are talking a General Patton level address here. Pete Hegseth just stepped off the stage. You can see right now there are aides who are going to presumably be presenting or getting President Trump the podium ready. Perhaps they'll be putting up the seal. Can we zoom in there, Klein? We'll be getting the seal up potentially. They're doing the tests for the president, Donald Trump, inbound. This is going to be an exciting day. We've been looking forward to this. We don't know. There it is. There goes the seal. Wouldn't you like that job? Wouldn't that be a neat job? Oh, I actually know that guy. We did a stream from the White House productions department. So I've met all these guys. They're really cool dudes. Okay. Anyway, hey Bill, how you doing? The point is that Bill has the coolest job in the world, and he gets to put the U.S. presidential seal on the podium. Pete Hegseth just stepped off the stage. He had a rip-roaring speech. Perhaps we will be able to get to clips of that speech, but we will not miss President Trump's address. The first time a president has addressed all of his generals, as far as we can tell, in something like 77 years. So Donald Trump breaking history this morning, Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. Trump will attend this unprecedented gathering of U.S. military commanders, generals, flag officers, admirals. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a wild speech, and we look forward to it. Obviously, we're going to cover some of the other breaking news, like, well, peace in the Middle East, potentially. Jimmy Kimmel's ratings crashing through the center of the earth, and also YouTube settling a Trump lawsuit for $25 million. Goodness gracious. We have a fantastic show lined up. We have Representative Mark Harris, Chairman Rick Crawford, and Senator Rick Scott all on the show. But of course, we are going to bring you President Trump as soon as he takes the stage. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that you are getting your house in order, much like President Trump is getting his house in order. inside of the U.S. military, is the commander-in-chief after all. American Financing is who helps our listeners and our viewers get their houses in order. And what I mean by that is ensure that you are debt-free. Debt, especially high-interest credit card debt, is like modern-day slavery. Get out of that debt with American Financing. They can use the equity inside of your home in order to do that. And their agents are helping Americans do that right now, saving massively on mortgages and also on household credit card expenses. Let's get rid of that high interest debt for you and make sure that you can seize your American dream. Call American Financing today at 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219. AmericanFinancing.net/Benny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are excited to ensure that you have the front row seat to President Trump's speech this morning. Again, it is a historic speech, and it's going to be happening live in moments. Again, you've just seen them affix the presidential seal to the podium, but that stage was on fire, Can I get some flames in the chat? Because Pete Hegseth was just letting her rip. Klein and my team, Hegseth just left the stage. We didn't get like a readout for when the speeches would be this morning. So again, we're live an hour early for Trump's speech. Hegseth's speech started at 8 a.m. And so we just let it go. Look at all those beautiful flames. Let's go, baby. Here's the flames. We got flames for you. Klein, just let her rip with Hegseth clips. Hegseth, the point of Hegseth's speech was to just rip the guts out of DEI in the military and wokeness in the military. The point of Hegseth's speech was to just flame Mark Milley. He went after Mark Milley. He went after the fat generals, the slovenly generals. Our incredible production team here has a wonderful highlight reel for you. Let's just rock and roll. Again, Hegseth just left the speech, so we're loading up the clips. Let's rock.
That are arriving at your commands as we speak and in your inbox. Today, at my direction, each service will ensure that every requirement for every combat MOS, for every designated combat arms position, returns to the highest male standard only. Because this job is life or death. Standards must be met. And not just met, at every level we should seek to exceed the standard, to push the envelope, to compete. It's common sense and core to who we are and what we do. It should be in our DNA. Today at my direction, we are also adding a combat field test for combat arms units that must be executable in any environment at any time and with combat equipment. These tests, they'll look familiar. They'll resemble the Army Expert Physical Fitness Assessment or the Marine Corps Combat Fitness Test. I'm also directing that warfighters in combat jobs execute their service fitness test at a gender-neutral, age-normed male standard scored above 70%. It all starts with physical fitness and appearance.
Baby, we're rocking. I will, and you've heard me before go off on these fat generals. Could you have like a little bit of pride? I'm not in the military, but I'm well aware that to seize your American dream and have the energy to like raise a family, have kids, like project like strength through life, you have to like take care of yourself. And if you are in a war fighting role and you can't do a push-up and you're gonna sit there, like everyone's seen a photo of Mark Milley, right? Anybody seen a photo of Mark Milley? Like, do you think that guy can do a push-up? When was the last time he did a push-up? Much less say pull up. Much less say, like, run down a flight of stairs. No way, dude. The guy is pulling himself up only to the buffet at Golden Corral. And so I'm sitting there saying, you're in charge of hundreds of millions of men that are supposed to go fight wars, and you look like the war that you're fighting is with a $5 footlong, the 5 for $5 menu at McDonald's. And I'm telling you that that's like a bad look. And everybody knows like some jacked old dude. Everybody knows like that that's not a guarantee. You don't have to look like that. that you can like take care of yourself. I'm thinking about my grandfather who fought in World War II, lived out his days in Mississippi, tending to a Civil War cemetery, actually. And he was like, that dude built every house he ever lived in. That dude was fit as a fiddle through his 90s. Same thing with my wife's grandfather. Like, it doesn't have to go like this, right? And so why are all of our generals looking like such slobs, obviously represented by Mark Milley? And so it's good for Hegseth. Okay, let's continue. We got a ton of great clips here from Hegseth. Okay, woke department. Is that where we're going? Woke department. I'm going to follow the script here now, Klein, as we're putting this together. All right. Woke department. Or actually, no fat generals. We have that clip? All right, great. Klein, no fat generals. Since we're on the subject, let's rock and roll. Thank you, Hegseth.
Fitness and appearance. If the Secretary of War can do regular hard PT, so can every member of our joint force.
Yes.
Frankly,
yes.
It's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops.
Whoa.
Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon.
Whoa.
And leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are. So whether you're an airborne ranger or a chairborne ranger, a brand new private or a 4-star general, you need to meet the height and weight standards and pass your PT test. And as the chairman said, yes, there is no PT test. But today, at my direction, every member of the joint force at every rank is required to take a PT test twice a year, as well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year, every year of service. Also today, at my direction, every warrior across our joint force is required to do PT every duty day. Should be common sense. I mean, most units do that already.
Baby. That's amazing. I mean, listen, this is like exactly what we should be doing. Why on earth would anybody ever argue against this? And this is not middle management at JP Morgan. I mean, like, what are you, like, this is not like Enterprise Rent-A-Car. This is America's military. You know, the taxpayers are lavishing you with $1 trillion budget a year in order to go and be dangerous and scary and prepare for war. That's going to be our next clip, Klein. Thank you. And this is exactly why we are paying more than, I think, the next like 5 nations combined for our military, so that we can have top lethality, so that we can have peace, not war, so that we can prepare for peace because we're able to wage war. But unfortunately, the way that it works in the federal government is that kind of lavishing of taxpayer funds often gets squandered, wasted. The people who are using them get lazy, slovenly, entitled. And that is what's happened to America's military generals. Pete Hegseth says no more. He says, prepare for war. This may well be my favorite clip yet from the speech. Again, Pete Hegseth, if you're just joining us, Pete Hegseth just left the stage. We're going through the highlights of Pete Hegseth's speech as we prepare for Donald Trump to speak to every American flag officer, general, admiral in the U.S. military. The first time it's happened since World War II. Pete Hegseth telling all of his generals, prepare for war. Let's go.
Truth. To ensure peace, we must prepare for war. From this moment forward, the only mission of the newly restored Department of War is this: warfighting, preparing for war and preparing to win, unrelenting and uncompromising in that pursuit. Not because we want war, no one here wants war, but it's because we love peace. We love peace for our fellow citizens. They deserve peace, and they rightfully expect us to deliver it. Our number one job, of course, is to be strong so that we can prevent war in the first place. The president talks about it all the time. It's called peace through strength. And as history teaches us, the only people who actually deserve peace are those who are willing to wage war to defend it. That's why pacifism is so naive and dangerous. It ignores human nature and it ignores human history. Either you protect your people and your sovereignty, or you will be subservient to something or someone. It's a truth as old as time. And since waging war is so costly in blood and treasure, we owe our republic a military that will win any war we choose.
My favorite line of the speech thus far. That's my favorite line. You will be a slave. You don't deserve peace if you can't wage war. Pacifism leads to slavery. Pacifism leads to you being subservient to the stronger power. Genius. Perfect. Absolutely. Rings like a bell, ladies and gentlemen. A perfect note from Pete Hegseth. Prepare for war so that we can be at peace. Of course, they're talking about communist China there. And they're talking about remaking the American military. Speaking of the people who he's remaking it from, Pete Hegseth went directly at Mark Milley, which is quite a move here. Said, we need less Mark Milleys and more General Pattons. Spot on. And to say it in a room of Mark Milleys like besties and friends, I mean, this is really something. To say it in a room of people who worked with Mark Milley and probably like either owe their careers to Mark Milley or, you know, had to kiss his ass at one point or another. And this is an amazing, amazing commentary. Let's go.
Our job together is to ensure our military is led by the very best, ready to answer the nation's call. Fifth, as you have seen, and the media has obsessed over, I have fired a number of senior officers since taking over. The previous chairman, other members of the Joint Chiefs, combatant commanders, and other commanders. The rationale for me has been straightforward. It's nearly impossible to change a culture with the same people who helped create or even benefited from that culture, even if that culture was created by a previous president and previous secretary. My approach has been simple. When in doubt, assess the situation, follow your gut, and if it's the best for the military, make a change. We all serve at the pleasure of the president every single day. But in many ways, it's not their fault. It's not your fault. As foolish and reckless as the woke department was, those officers were following elected political leadership. An entire generation of generals and admirals were told that they must parrot the insane fallacy that, quote, our diversity is our strength. Of course, we know our unity is our strength. They had to put out dizzying DEI and LGBTQI plus statements. They were told females and males are the same thing, or that males who think they're females is totally normal.
Whew, cooking, bro.
They were told that we need a green fleet and electric tanks. They were told to kick out Americans who refuse an emergency vaccine. They followed civilian policies set by foolish and reckless political leaders.
Oh, man.
Our job, my job, has been to determine which leaders simply did what they must to answer the prerogatives of civilian leadership, and which leaders are truly invested in the woke department, and therefore incapable of embracing the War Department and executing new lawful orders. That's it. It's that simple. So for the past 8 months, we've gotten a good look under the hood of our officer corps. We've done our best to thoroughly assess the human terrain. We've had to make trade-offs and some difficult decisions. It's more of an art than a science. We have been and will continue to be judicious, but also expeditious. The new compass heading is clear. Out with the Shirellis, the Mackenzies, and the Millies, and in with the Stockdales, the Schwarzkopfs, and the Pattons.
Yes. I'm sitting there like, please don't let the clip end. Please don't let that. I want to keep going. Actually, we have a fantastic 3-minute scorched earth against the woke department versus the War Department. We'll play you that. Sort of like the penultimate cornerstone of the entire speech. What a beautiful takedown. You got to understand what woke is. Woke is religion for people that don't believe in God. Woke is the ability for those people to try and conquer through the sword, as they have proven. They are very, very violent and malevolent individuals, or through institutional capture, and then to project their pagan worldview on all of us. Alex Karp, of all people, had a wild speech on this. Anyway, there's a tone change here. Woke is a religion. Woke is a religion for people that don't believe in God. They believe in themselves. They believe in humanism and transhumanism. And they are doing what every religion tries to do, which is conquest, conversions. And the way that they do it is they go through institutions and they rip through those institutions, whether it's a bank or a sports team, whether it's the NFL. You know, just hired some cross-dressing Satanist to play at the Super Bowl, to be the Super Bowl halftime. The guy that doesn't even the guy doesn't sing in English and he doesn't tour in America. But they play in the Super Bowl. That's woke. That's that's what woke is, right? Total and complete institutional capture. And that's what they did to the military. And what Pete Hegseth is doing there is bulldozing that diseased temple into the ground, desecrating their idols before them, listening to the weeping and lamentations of their women. What is a woman? They don't even know. We all remember Mark Milley. I want to understand white rage. We all remember all the pregnant fighter pilot suits, right? We remember all these, the insanity, the insufferable nature of wokeness in the military. And if you know somebody who's in the military, you'll understand how out of control it really got. How it did, in fact, become the religion of the military. Because that's just the way that these institutions are. It's heavy, top down, and people follow orders. And so when those orders come from these pagans and these hedonists, then you're able to just convert because everyone must do what you say. And so that's what they did in the military. They actually targeted the military specifically, installed the wokest, weakest, saddest, most wicked generals in American history, and they used the military not for war fighting, but for societal and social experimentation with their pagan religion. Remember the recruitment ads from the Biden era? I marched for civil rights with my two moms. And that's why I'm in the army. What? What does that have to do with war fighting? This has not, again, it was a contagion, a wokeness contagion that traveled through the ranks of the military at light speed by design because they were able to perform institutional capture and try and convert this entire organization to their religion. And that's what they did. And it was very dangerous. And it weakened America. And everybody watched what happened in Afghanistan. And everybody's watched what has seen what's happened over the last couple of years with our military. Recruitment numbers falling through the floor. Because young men who fight and die in all your wars don't want to sign up to serve under someone who attacks white rage. White rage is how you win a war. That's how America's always won wars. Idiots attack white people. They don't want to serve for leader. Young white men don't want to sign up for leadership that doesn't know what a man is or that hates white people. And then they're like, why do we have a recruitment problem? Because we don't want to be part of your pagan religion. Because we want to live normal lives, upstanding moral lives. We have a moral and good nation. That's why. And this is what they've done to the military. And this is what's being undone right now. And this is why young men are signing up at record numbers. I don't know when Trump, I mean, we can show you the live shot right here. Again, Trump will be taking the stage soon. Trump will take the stage soon. This is the live shot. You can see all of the admirals and generals and so on who just got ripped to shreds for being fat by Pete Hegseth. Amazing. And then Pete Hegseth teaching them some slang. First time ever, the Department of War, Secretary of War said FAFO. Let's go.
Precision and ferocity of the War Department. In other words, to our enemies, FAFO. If necessary, our troops can translate that for you. Another way to put it is peace through strength, brought to you by the warrior ethos. And we are restoring both.
ALX actually grabbed it. ALX actually grabbed the ad. Remember this ad? Oh man, the ad of like look, I'm in the military because I marched for civil rights. This is what they were creating. They were creating like little cartoons, like woke cartoons. Can we listen to it, Klein? Let's just hear it.
Although I had a fairly typical childhood, took ballet.
All right. Hey, hold on. You've all seen this. Look at this. Look at this. Okay. Contrast this with Pete Hegseth now. Pete Hegseth is live right now, speaking, introducing President Trump. He just started.
The 45th and 47th President of the United States, our Commander-in-Chief, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much, Pete. Great job you're doing, too. Fantastic job. I've never walked into a room so silent before. This is very, don't laugh. Don't laugh. You're not allowed to do that. You know what? Just have a good time. And if you want to applaud, you applaud. And if you want to do anything you want, you can do anything you want. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank. There goes your future. But you just feel nice and loose, okay? Because we're all on the same team. And I was told that, sir, you won't hear a murmur in the room. I said, we had to loosen these guys up a little bit. So you just have a good time. But I want to thank Secretary Hegseth and General Kane, General Raisin Kane for a reason, they call him that. When I heard his name, I said, you're the guy I'm looking for. The Joint Chiefs of Staff and so many others in this room who together represent the greatest and most elite fighting force in the history of the world, the United States military. We're very proud of our military. I rebuilt the military during my first term. It's one of the greatest achievements. We had the greatest economy in history, and I built the military. Those are the two things I say more than anything else. And I also kept us safe at the borders. We had very good borders. We didn't have people coming in from jails and prisons and everything like took place over the last 4 years. I'll never forget what happened to this country over the last 4 years with the incompetence. There could be no higher honor than to serve as your commander-in-chief. It is a great honor. I look at you, just incredible people. Central casting, I might add. To each and every one of you, I thank you for your unwavering devotion to the armed forces and to the country that we've all sworn a sacred oath to defend. We all have that oath, every one of us. I'm thrilled to be here this morning to address the senior leadership of what is once again known around the world as the Department of War. I know Pete spoke about it. He gave a great speech, I thought. Great speech. I don't want him to get so good. I hate that. You know? No, I hate it. I almost fired him. I said, you can't, I don't want to go on after that.
Now, he gave a great speech, but he talked about Department of War. We were sitting there. I said, didn't it used to be called the Department of War? And he goes, yes, sir. They changed it like in the early 50s. So we won the First World War. We won the Second World War. We won everything in between and everything before that. We only won. And then we went, in a way, woke. That was probably the first sign of wokeness. And we changed it to defense instead of war. And I said, what do you think? How do you think if we change it back? Would that be a nice idea? And Pete loved it immediately. Some people thought about it. You know, they gave it a little thought. But in the end, we did it. And I have to be honest, it's so popular. I thought it would be met with fury on the left, but they're sort of giving up. I must be honest with you. They've had it. They've had it with Trump. They've been after me for so many years now. Here we are. Here we are. Come to the White House anytime you'd like. No, they've given up. A lot of bad people. But all over, it's been so popular. It's been very popular. I really thought that we were going to have to sort of fight it through. There's been no fight. There's been no fight. Like what I call the Gulf of America, the Gulf of America, because to me it was always the Gulf of America. I could never understand. We have 92% of the frontage. And for years, actually 350 years that were there before us, it was called the Gulf of Mexico. I just had this idea. I'm looking at a map. I'm saying, we have most of the frontage. Why is it Gulf of Mexico? Why isn't it the Gulf of America? And I made the change and it went smoothly. I mean, we had a couple of fake news outlets that refused to make the change. And then one of them, AP, took us to court and we won. And the judge, who was a somewhat liberal judge, said, the name is the Gulf of America, because AP refused to call it the Gulf of America. They wrote, they're not a good outfit, by the way. They call it the Gulf of Mexico. I said, no, the Gulf of America is the name. And the judge actually said that, in fact, you can't even go into the room because what you're doing is not appropriate. The name is the Gulf of America. Google Maps changed the name. Everybody did, but AP wouldn't. And then we won in court. How about that? Isn't that so cool? The Secretary Hegseth beautifully described the name change reflects far more than the shift in branding. It's really a historic reassertion of our purpose and our identity and our pride. That's when we go with the word war. And, you know, we want war because we want to have no wars, but you have to be there. And, you know, sometimes you have to do it. I have settled so many wars since we're here almost 9 months, and I've settled 7. And yesterday we might have settled the biggest of them all, although I don't know. Pakistan, India was very big. Both nuclear powers, I settled that. But yesterday could be the settlement in the Middle East. That hasn't happened for 3,000 years. I said, how long have you been fighting? 3,000 years, sir. That's a long time. But we got it, I think, settled. We'll see. Hamas has to agree. And if they don't, it's going to be very tough on them. But it is what it is. But all of the Arab nations, Muslim nations have agreed. Israel has agreed. It's an amazing thing. It just came together. War is very strange. You know, you never know what's going to happen with war. The easiest one of them all is Putin. I said, number one, it's a war that would have never happened if I were president, if the election weren't rigged. If I were president, that war would have never happened. Not even a little chance. And it didn't happen for 4 years. But I knew Putin very well, and I thought that would be easy because I know him so well. Well, that one turned out to be the hardest of them all. We had some that were not settleable, and they all got settled. So if this works out that we did yesterday with the Middle East, then that's more than a war. That's lots of wars. That's all combined. That's a lot of wars. Many of you were over there in many different capacities in many different countries. That's a big part of the earth. But if that works out, it would be 8+. How could I give myself 2 or 3 for that one? And then we just have the one to settle. We have to settle it up with President Putin. And Zelensky, got to get them together and get it done. But the only way we can do that is through strength. I mean, if we were weak, they wouldn't even take my phone call. But we have extreme strength. We had the horror show in Afghanistan, which is really the reason I think that Putin went in. He saw that horror show by Biden and his team of incompetent people. And that showed, I think it gave him a path in. I wasn't there any longer. I watched that and it was so horrible. I think it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. And now we're back. And that's it. We're not going to have any of that crap happen, I can tell you. That was terrible, so terrible. Together we're reawakening the warrior spirit, and this is a spirit that won and built this nation, and from the cavalry that tamed the Great Plains to the ferocious, unyielding power of Patton, Bradley, and the great General Douglas MacArthur. These are all great men. In this effort, we're a team, and so my message to you is very simple. I am with you, I support you, and as president, I have your backs 100%. You'll never see me even waver a little bit. It's the way it is. And that includes our great police officers and firemen and all of these people that are doing so well. Together over the next few years, we're going to make our military stronger, tougher, faster, fiercer, and more powerful than it has ever been before. I rebuilt our nuclear, as you probably know, but we'll upgrade that also and just hope we never have to use it. We have to hope we never have to use it because the power of that is so incredible. I see things, I don't think they'd show it to you. I really wouldn't want them to show it to you. But when you see the result of what's left, you never want to use that. Never, never, ever. We were a little bit threatened by Russia recently, and I sent a submarine, nuclear submarine, the most lethal weapon ever made. Number one, you can't detect it. There's no way. We're 25 years ahead of Russia and China in submarines. Russia's actually second in submarines. China's third, but they're coming up. They're coming up. They're way lower in nuclear. They're way lower in nuclear too, but in 5 years they'll be equal. They're coming up. And you don't have to be that good with it. So that works for, I mentioned the word nuclear. I moved a submarine or two, I won't say about the two, over to the coast of Russia, just to be careful, because we can't let people throw around that word. I call it the N word. There are two N words, and you can't use either of them. You can't use either of them. And frankly, if it does get to use, we have more than anybody else. We have better, we have newer, but it's something we don't ever want to even have to think about. But when somebody mentions it, that submarine started immediately thereafter. And it's just lurking, but I'm sure we're not going to have to use it. But it's an amazing, it's undetectable, totally. Ours is, theirs isn't. Theirs are totally detectable. We can detect them easily. We go right to the spot. But we have genius apparatus that doesn't allow detection. It doesn't allow detection at all by anybody above water or below water. It's incredible. We're way ahead of everybody in that and other things. As a result of the exciting renewal of the spirit of our armed forces, and that's what it is. It's really reaching that spirit, unprecedented heights. Over the past 8 months, new enlistments, I'm so proud of this, have surged to record highs, the highest we've ever had. And we used to have recruiting shortages. If you remember, about a year and a half ago, I was at the beginning stage of a campaign, and things came out that you couldn't get people to join the armed forces. And by the way, the police also, fire department. I always put the fire department in because they're great. They're great. And I got 95% of their vote too. That helps. When you get 95% of their vote, you always have to mention them. But they're great. And they're brave in our inner cities, which we're going to be talking about, because it's a big part of war now. It's a big part of war. But the firemen go up in ladders and you have people shooting at them while they're up in ladders. I don't even know if anybody heard that. And I said, don't talk about it much, but I think you have to. Our firemen are incredible. They're up in one of these ladders that goes way up to the sky, rescuing people, and you have animals shooting at them, shooting bullets at firemen that are way up in death territory. You fall off that ladder, it's over. It's over. They don't even have to inspect you when you hit the ground. And you have people shooting bullets at them in some of these inner cities. We're not going to let that happen. So I always mention the firemen because that's actually a big problem we have. They are unbelievable. Like you, they're unbelievable people. For the first time on record in 2025, the Navy, Air Force, and Space Force all met or surpassed their recruiting goals 3 months early. That never happened before. And the Army did even better. Congratulations, Army. They met everything. And these were the highest standards because we're making it larger. So these were much higher standards than you had 4 years ago, 3 years ago during the sleepy Joe Biden era. And the Army did it 4 months early. And you remember a year and a half ago, they said the big stories that we're way behind with the Army, Air Force, the Navy, the Marines, we're way behind, Coast Guard, and even Space Force. I love Space Force because that was my creation. You know, when you create something, I love it. And the people we put in there were good. I got that right. We put in great people initially, and we've really dominated. We really dominate in that sphere now. We're way behind China and Russia, and now we dominate. Space Force turned out to be a very important thing. I said from the beginning, you know, when Biden came into office, he wanted to terminate it. He said, and this thing called Space Force, so we could get rid of that. And he got hammered by the people in this room for even suggesting it, because it's very important, one of the most important. And as time goes by, it'll get more and more important. But we're now at 106% of our recruiting targets for the year, and that's the best in far more than a generation. And for the Marines, morale is so strong that the Marine Corps will meet its 2026 retention targets before the end of October, which never happens. And that's the earliest it's ever happened in the history of our country. And it makes you feel good, you know. I felt guilty. I'd go make a speech in front of never people like you. You are the leaders, but people, soldiers. And I felt embarrassed because there'd be stories about, you know, we couldn't fill up our Army, Navy, Air Force. We couldn't fill them up. And it was headlines. It was during Biden's 4 years, the auto pen. I call him the auto pen. It's, how would you like to have your thing signed by an auto pen? You know, when I have a general and I have to sign for a general because we have beautiful paper, the gorgeous paper, I said throw a little more gold on it. They deserve it. I want the A paper, not the D paper. We used to sign a piece of garbage. I said, this man's going to be a general, right? Yeah. I don't want to use this. I want to use the big, beautiful, firm paper. I want to use the real gold writing when you talk about the position, and they're beautiful. And, but how would you like to have that where some kid sitting in the back office is having it signed with an auto pen? I thought about it, and I thought about you people first, admirals, generals. I said, somebody works his whole life. He gets into maybe the academies or wherever, but however you got there, and you go through years of work, and now you become an admiral or a general or whatever. And when you do, the President of the United States signs your commission, as you know, and that commission is beautifully displayed. And I sign it. Actually, I love my signature. I really do. Everyone loves my signature. But I signed it very proudly. And I always think to myself, how can you have an auto pen sign this? It's just so disrespectful. To me, it's just totally disrespectful. And it turned out that almost everything he did was signed by auto pen, except for when he gave his son, Hunter, pardon. He signed that one. And that's actually the worst signature I've ever seen. That was the bad. The auto pen looks much better. But as leaders, our commitment to every patriot who put on the uniform is to ensure that American military remains the most lethal and dominant on the planet, not merely for a few years, but for the decades, be so strong that no nation will dare challenge us, so powerful that no enemy will dare threaten us, and so capable that no adversary can even think about beating us. And we put down 7 planes. It was starting. There was a lot of bad blood. And I said, you do this, there's not going to be any trade. And I stopped the war. It was raging for 4 days, but that was just the beginning. And we stopped it. It was a great thing. And the Prime Minister of Pakistan was here, along with the Field Marshal, who's a very important guy in Pakistan. And he was here 3 days ago. And I didn't even realize it as beautiful as he said it, but he said that to a group of people that were with us, 2 generals, but a group, he said, this man saved millions of lives because he saved the war from going on. And that war was going to get very bad, very, very bad. President Trump saved millions and millions of lives. That was a bad war. And I was very honored. I loved the way he said it. Susie Wiles was there. She said that was the most beautiful thing. But we saved a lot of them. Saved a lot of them. Even in Africa, we saved the Congo with Rwanda. They've been fighting for 31 years, 10 million people dead. I got that one done. And very proud of it. So if this works out, we'll have 8 in 8 months. That's pretty good. Nobody's ever done that. Will you get the Nobel Prize? Absolutely not. They'll give it to some guy that didn't do a damn thing. They'll give it to a guy that wrote a book about the mind of Donald Trump and what it took to solve the wars. And he'll get the Nobel Prize will go to a writer. No, but we'll see what happens. But it's be a big insult to our country. I will tell you that. I don't want it. I want the country to get it. It should get it because there's never been anything like it. Think of it. So if this happens, I think it will. I don't say that lightly because I know more about deals than anybody. This is what my whole life was based on. And they can change, and this can certainly change. But we have just about everybody. We have one signature that we need, and that signature will pay in hell if they don't sign. I hope they sign for their own good and create something really great. But to have done 8 of them is just like such an honor. And then we have Putin and Zelensky, the easiest one of them all. I said, that one I'll get done. I thought that was going to be first. The others were much harder, some of them. Azerbaijan this was going on for 36 years. They said, it's not solvable, sir. You don't do it. I said, I will do it. I will do it. And I got on the phone with the 2 countries. They were great. They were great. I knew immediately. I knew as soon as I started talking to them, we're going to solve that war. We did. Now they're so happy. Now they're friends. One said he's been president for 32 years, 22 years. He said, for 22 years, I did nothing but kill his people. They were in the room together at the Oval Office. And they started off spread like this. I have the beautiful Resolute desk. And one was here, and one was here. You couldn't get further away. That's the furthest I've ever seen 2 people in front of me. And as the hour went by, they got closer, closer, closer. And at the end of the hour, we had it done. And they hugged and hugged and hugged. And I said, that's so nice. And you're going to remain friends. And I spoke to them, one of them the other day. He said, no, he's now my friend. But for 22 years, he's been the head of Azerbaijan for 22 years. And the other guy, great guy too, 7. And that war, that was a war that was not solvable. He said for 7 years. The other one said for 22 years. All I did was kill his people. That's all I've done. I said, well, we're going to put a stop to that. So we solved that. So it's a great thing. It's a great feeling. You're saving Kosovo and Serbia. You're saving so many lives doing this if you can do it. But our people deserve nothing less than the very best. And we're never going to let them down. And if we can solve wars instead of you having to fight wars, wouldn't that be wonderful, right? Wouldn't that be wonderful? That's why one of the first executive orders I signed upon taking office was to restore the principle of merit. That's the most important word, other than the word tariff. I love tariffs. Most beautiful word. But I'm not allowed to say that anymore. I said tariff is my favorite word. I love the word tariff. We're becoming rich as hell. We have a big case in front of the Supreme Court, but I can't imagine, because this is what other nations have done to us. And we have, great legal grounds, but you still have a case. It would be very bad if something happened. But I said, my favorite word In the English dictionary is the word tariff. And people thought that was strange. And the fake news came over and they really hit me hard on it. They said, what about love? What about religion? What about God? What about wife, family? I got killed when I said tariff is my favorite word. So I changed it. It's now my 5th favorite word. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But they hit me hard. But it is. I mean, when you look at, we've taken in trillions of dollars. We're rich again. And there'll never be, when we finish this out, there'll never be any wealth like what we have. Other countries were taking advantage of us for years and years. You know that better than anybody. And now we're treating them fairly. But the money coming in is, we've never seen anything like it. The other day, they had 31 billion that they found, $31 billion. So we found $31 billion and we're not sure from where it came. A gentleman came in, a financial guy. I said, well, what does that mean? He said, we don't know where it came. I said, check the tariff shelf. No, sir, the tariffs haven't started in that sector yet. I said, yes, they have. They started 7 weeks ago. Check it. Comes back 20 minutes later. Sir, you're right. It came from tariffs. 31 billion. That's enough to buy a lot of battleships, Admiral, to use an old term. I think we should maybe start thinking about battleships, by the way. You know, we have a Secretary of the Navy came to me because I look at the Iowa out in California and I look at different ships and the old pictures. I used to watch Victory at Sea. I love Victory at Sea. Look at these admirals. It's got to be your all-time in black and white. And I look at those ships. They came with the destroyers alongside of them, and man, nothing was going to stop. They were 20 deep, and they were in a straight line, and there was nothing going to stop them. And we actually talk about, you know, those ships. Some people would say, no, that's old technology. I don't know. I don't think it's old technology when you look at those guns. But it's something we're actually considering, the concept of battleship. Nice 6-inch sides, solid steel, not aluminum that melts if it looks at a missile coming at it. Starts melting as the missile's about 2 miles away. Now, those ships, they don't make them that way anymore, but you look at it and your secretary likes it, and I'm sort of open to it. And bullets are a lot less expensive than missiles. A lot of reasons. I should take a vote, but I'm afraid to take that vote because I may get voted out on that one. But I tell you, it's something we're seriously considering. There were powers. There were big powers. They were just about as mean and scary as you could be. And so we're looking at that. One of the biggest cases that we won was the decision of the United States Supreme Court to allow us to proceed on the word merit. So those two words are right up there. So this is, I would say, the opposite of, you ask for a definition, the opposite of political correctness. We went through political correct, where you had to have people that were totally unfit to be doing what you're doing for many reasons. I won't get into them, but for many reasons they were unfit. Now it's all based on merit. That was such an unbelievable decision. I didn't expect we were going to win that one. We went in, we said we need it. We went in for colleges, you know, where kids with a C average are getting into the best colleges, and the kids with A averages won't get in. And kids with the highest boards and the highest marks and the best marks couldn't get into the best schools. And people that had not good boards and not very good marks, I mean, okay, but nothing special, they were getting into our best colleges. I said, this is just crazy. You can't run a country like this. And it was lingering for years, and it got to the Supreme Court, and we won that decision. Merit, everything's based on merit. You're all based on merit. We're not going to have somebody taking your place for political reasons because they are politically correct, and you're not. We take the people that are going to do the best job. That's all. It's very simple. And that's the way our country was built. We were built on merit. We got away from it for a long time. And everyone understands it. And it was done. It was approved. I give great credit to the Supreme Court because I thought they had tremendous courage. I didn't think they'd do that. That was tremendous. I give them maybe for that decision almost more than anything, because it's a hard decision to make. It's really hard. the apparatus of our country was not set up for merit. It was set up for political correctness. And you can never be great if you're going to do that. And we're going to be greater than we ever were before. We're bringing back a focus on fitness, ability, character, and strength. And that's because the purposes of American military is not to protect anyone's feelings. It's to protect our republic. And it's the republic that we dearly love. It's to protect our country. We will not be politically correct when it comes to defending American freedom. And we will be a fighting and winning machine. We want to fight, we want to win, and we want to fight as little as possible. You have to count on people like me to keep you out of wars, because we don't want to go into wars. Many of the wars that I just told you about, we could have entered those wars and settled them in a different way, lose a lot of our troops. And we could have settled them, I guess, differently. Maybe not, actually. Actually, you might not have been able to settle them. We just would have been in the middle of a lot of firepower. But when we do need it, you're going to be so ready. And you know it. But very importantly, with that goal in mind, I've committed to spending over $1 trillion on our military in 2026. And that's the most in the history of our country. $1 trillion. That's a lot of money. I hope you like that. Ma'ams and sirs, I hope you like it. That's a hell of a lot of money. We have the best of everything. Every branch is seeing major investments. And as I announced in the Oval Office in March, we are rapidly moving forward with the first ever 6th generation fighter jet. I didn't name it. I did not name it. Boeing came in and they said, sir, this is our submittal. It's the greatest fighting jet ever done. And you know, they're testing all these planes, all the companies are testing, and this one tested like through the roof. And they said, we'd like to name it the F-47. I said, all right, let me think about it. Then after thinking for about 2 seconds, I said, okay. You know, that means 47, I'm 47. So I'm 45, 46, and 47, yeah, if you think about it. I just don't want the credit for 46. I don't want to have their open borders and people coming in from all over the world, including jails and mental institutes. I don't want that on my record, but I like having it. We're investing tens of billions of dollars in modernizing our nuclear deterrence capabilities like never before. And we've begun construction on what we call the Golden Dome missile defense shield. It'll be the most sophisticated in the world. You watched it do well until they had some problems at the end with a little bit of a lack of ammunition, defensive ammunition, but they've got that taken care of. But I tell you, it's what we're doing is so good, and we deserve it. You know, we help other countries with it. We don't have it ourselves. And Canada called me a couple of weeks ago. They want to be part of it. To which I said, well, why don't you just join our country? You become 51, become the 51st state, and you get it for free. So I don't know if that made a big impact, but it does make a lot of sense. It actually makes, because they're having a hard time up there in Canada now, because as you know, with tariffs, everyone's coming into our country. We have more investment than we've ever had before, $17 trillion coming in. As an example, in 4 years, Biden didn't have $1 trillion. We have 17 trillion more than that in 8 months coming in. And they're coming in from Canada, Mexico, from Europe, from all over. AI, auto plants. Everybody's coming back to the United States. Under my budget, we will be expanding the U.S. Navy by at least 19 ships next year, including submarines, destroyers, assault ships, and more. And it's going to be much more than that as we go along, because we basically don't build ships anymore. We do build submarines, but we don't build ships. Do you know, in the Second World War, they were freighters and different types, but we were doing a ship a day, and now we don't do ships. And I'm not a fan of some of the ships you do. I'm a very aesthetic person, and I don't like some of the ships you're doing aesthetically. They say, oh, it's stealth. I said, that's not stealth. An ugly ship is not necessary in order to say you're stealth. By the way, the B-2 bombers were incredible. That is stealth. They went into that. I was with General Kane and Pete were in we call it the war room, but we're watching them go in, and they were totally untouched. They were not seen. They were literally not seen. They dropped their bombs. They hit every single one of them, hit its target. It was total obliteration. CNN, when we came back, fake news, CNN, oh, their camera just went off. You know, their camera, every time I mention, they turn the camera off because it's never good. They say, this is a problem, but I don't blame them. You're better off keeping it off. But they have some scammer reporter who started saying, without any knowledge, that he may not have hit the targets as well as they thought. It may not have been obliteration. He did hit the targets, and I got to give us a little credit, right? It was obliteration, it turned out. The Atomic Energy Commission said it was obliteration. They had, not only did they hit the target, they had these chutes. And think of this here. Way up in the sky, there was no moon. It was dead dark. Couldn't see a thing. You couldn't see them. But they had, I guess, a beam going right into these chutes. Every single one of those bombs went right down those chutes into a granite mountain. I think it's the last time they're going to build air chutes. They had these air chutes that were nice, beautiful. They were meant for us. But it was total obliteration. And now they give us credit for that. But these people were phenomenal. I tell you, for the Air Force people here, you can be very proud. That B-2, we just ordered a lot of new ones and updated ones, but I'd take the other ones. Let me tell you, they couldn't have worked any better. So they flew for 37 hours total, back and forth, no stops, no nothing. We had 52 tankers loading them up. And that's a job I wouldn't necessarily want too much, flying a tanker, loaded up with hundreds of thousands of gallons of fuel. I don't know if I'd do that job. I asked the question, what happens if it gets hit? Sir, you don't want to know about that, right? I don't want to know about that. But those guys, they just hear us. They're incredible. I had them all to the Oval Office. We had the B-2 pilots and a lot of the people, even the people that took care of them, the maintenance people, just as important. We had them all to the White House, gave them a big party on the lawn, brought some of them into the Oval Office. But on top of all this, we'll deliver a hard-earned pay raise of 3.8% to every soldier, sailor, airman, Coast Guardsman, Space Guardman, and Marine, something you weren't getting from the past administration. They did not treat you with respect. They're Democrats. They never do. Not only are we rebuilding our great strength, but for the first time in years, my administration is actually using that strength to defend the core and vital interests of America. And very simply, we are putting America first. And I have since I've been elected. I've always put America first. It's sort of simple, you know, when you think. My campaign was run on common sense, and we did great. We got the highest numbers ever received in terms of districts. You know, they have it broken up, 2,500 versus 525. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote. We won everything. We won everything. You have to take a look at the map. It's almost entirely red, except there's a little blue line on each coast, and I think that's going to disappear too. We did really great, and part of it is because of our success with the military, the rebuilding of the military, the vote that I got from the military, and they're vicious people, you know, that we have to fight, just like you have to fight vicious people. Mine are different, a different kind of vicious, but they spread all these horrible, you know, they made up statements and said what I said about everything, but even about the military. But fortunately, the military didn't believe it. It's hard. You know, they make up a statement and they said, you say it. We had 25 people that said he never said that. 25. We had 25 affidavits. And they said, well, we're going with it anyway. You know, these sleazebags. And that's why the press is really losing all power, because people aren't believing it. We need an honest press. We need borders. We need borders. We need an honest press. We need fair elections. I mean, those three things. And we don't have an honest press. We have a really corrupt press, but we fight through the corrupt press. And the people understand you have to do this stuff a lot. You have to go on television a lot because you can't get a fair shake if you're going to rely on somebody else. They don't understand. They've destroyed the image of media now is at the lowest point it's ever been. It's lower than Congress. Can you believe that? It's something. But together with many of you in the room, we've brought back the fundamental principle that defending the homeland is the military's first and most important priority. That's what it is. Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. After spending trillions of dollars defending the borders of foreign countries, with your help, we're defending the borders of our country from now on. We're not going to let this happen. Biden let people come in from prisons, mental institutions, drug dealers, murderers. You know, we had 11,488 murderers allowed into our country by this guy who had no clue. He had no clue. He shouldn't have been there in the first place, but he had no clue. The people that ran the office, the White House, were people that surrounded him, radical left lunatics that are brilliant people, but dumb as hell when it came to policy and common sense. And they allowed people from all over the world, from the Congo. They opened up prisons in the Congo. They came into our country totally unmatched, unvetted, unchecked. And from all over South America, not just South America. You know, you think South America, no, but from all over. A lot came in from Venezuela. Venezuela emptied its prison population into our country. That's why they have Tren de Aragua, one of the worst gangs ever. But we took care of them. We took good, strong care of them. And I just want to thank the National Guard in Washington, D.C. It's embarrassing to say this. Now I can say it because we solved it. But Washington, D.C. was the most unsafe, most dangerous city in the United States of America. And to a large extent, beyond. And beyond that, you go to Afghanistan, they didn't have anything like that. You go to countries that you would think there's problems, they didn't have that. And now Washington, D.C., after 12 days of serious, serious intensity, we took out 1,700 career criminals. If you have 5 career criminals, they can make your numbers look very bad because they'll commit many crimes a day. But we took out 1,700 and they took them out. There was no doubt who the boss was. They did an unbelievable job. Then they started even cleaning. I said, I don't want them doing that, sir. They were cleaning it up. I drove through it 2 days ago. It was beautiful. People are walking down the street holding hands, man and wife, coming from Iowa. They're not worried about being shot. Washington, D.C. is now a safe city. In fact, I went out to dinner with my crew. I haven't done that. In theory, I wouldn't do it. And I felt totally safe. And nobody's been attacked. Nobody's been hurt. Washington, D.C. went from our most unsafe city to just about our safest city in a period of a month. We had it under control in 12 days, but give us another 15, 16 days. It's perfect. And people other than politicians that look bad, they think, you know, the Democrats run most of the cities that are in bad shape. We have many cities in great shape too, by the way. I want you to know that. But it seems that the ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places. And we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war too. It's a war from within. Controlling the physical territory of our border is essential to national security. We can't let these people in. You know, we had no people enter in the last 4 months. 0. Even I can't believe that. You know, we had millions coming in, pouring in. 25 million all told. And of those 25 million, many of them should never be in our country. They would take their worst people and their people from prisons and jail, and they'd put them in a caravan and they'd walk up. CNN was interviewing one person. Oh, why are you coming? I want freedom. Good. Were you in jail? Yes. For what? Murder. I said, you're in for, you had to see this anchor, a young woman. She's like, I couldn't believe. She'll probably lose her job, but because the left doesn't want to hear that. But we're running it based on common sense and based on love of our country. But I want to salute every service member who has helped us carry out this critical mission. It's really a very important mission. And I told Pete, we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military. Because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor, stupid governor, stupid. They threw him out of his family business. He was so stupid. I know the family. He becomes governor. He's got money. Not money that he made, but he ran for governor, he won, and now he criticizes us all the time. And last week they had 11 people murdered, 44 people shot. The week before that they had 5 people murdered, 28 people shot. Every weekend they lose 5, 6. If they lose 5, they're considering it a great week. They shouldn't lose any. You shouldn't lose any. This is civilization. And he's always up there saying, we're in very good shape. We don't need the military. No, they need the military desperately. How about Portland? Portland, Oregon, where it looks like a war zone. And I get a call from the liberal governor. Sir, please don't come in. We don't need you. I said, well, unless they're playing false tapes, this looked like World War II. Your place is burning down. I mean, you must be kidding. Sir, we have it under control. I said, you don't have it under control, Governor, but I'll check it and I'll call you back. I called her back. I said, this place is a nightmare. It's certainly not the biggest, but it's one of the worst. It's brutal. They go after our ICE people who are great patriots and tough job too, but they love it. They love it because they're cleaning up our country. And so you look at some of the things where they took over parts of Seattle. They actually took over a big percentage of Seattle. Think of that. You remember that. That was a while ago. And I sent in the troops and they were gone. As soon as I sent them in, when we send in the troops, if you have a real leader that says you got to do what you have to do, I put that out the other day. You got to do what you got to do because we don't want our people hurt as they stand by. I was watching during Biden, they were troops standing up like this, brave, standing up at attention, the way I should stand all the time. And I'm like this, and people are standing, and their mouth is this far away from their mouth, and they're spitting at them, and they're screaming at them. And that soldier standing there, he wants to knock the hell out of the person, but he's not allowed to do anything. So they just stand there and they get abused. And a woman was this far away from his face, and she starts spitting in his face, and he's not allowed to do anything. If it's okay with you, generals and admirals, I've taken that off. I say, they spit, we hit. Is that okay? I think so. They spit, it's a new thing. They spit, we hit. How about the cars where the cars are coming out? They get brand new cars, Border Patrol, ICE, beautiful, nice new cars. And they're driving along and they have to go through a gauntlet of rocks being thrown at the car. So here's this beautiful brand new car. By the time it goes 100 yards, it's destroyed. These guys have pretty good arms, some of them. And they're throwing bricks at full force into the window and into the car. It looks like it's a war zone. And I said, never let that happen again. From now on, if that ever happens, and I say it here, you get out of that car and you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Because those people are, you can die from that. Those bricks go through the windows. You can die. They'd like it to. They'd like it to go through the window. But this was a couple of months ago. They just kept driving and bricks are hitting the car. And I said, why aren't they stopping? Because they were under orders from the past administration, never stop. But that's different with us. We stop. And since I gave that order, we haven't had that problem. It's very interesting. It's amazing. It's just like in Venezuela, you've seen the boats going. We can't find any more boats. They're carrying drugs, massive. Every boat kills about 25,000 people. That's what they have. They had fentanyl mostly and a lot of other drugs. And we take them out, and we've taken out 4. And it's on air. Everybody gets to see it. Not that we like to do that, but every boat kills 25,000 on average, 20. Some people say more. You see these boats, they're stacked up with bags of white powder. That's mostly fentanyl and other drugs too. And now we have a problem. General Kane says, sir, there are no boats out there. Not even fishing boats. They don't want to go fishing. I don't blame them. There'll be no fishing today, you know. But it's amazing what strength will do, because all we want to do is stop drugs from flowing into our country. It's destroying. We lost 300,000 people died last year. Everybody knows friends, many friends probably, that you lost a child, or adults too, but you lost a son or daughter because of what's coming into our border. And we're making it very hard. Oh, and we haven't even started yet. Last month, I signed an executive order to provide training for quick reaction force that can help quell civil disturbances. And this is going to be a big thing for the people in this room, because it's the enemy from within, and we have to handle it before it gets out of control. It won't get out of control. Once you're involved at all, they all joke. They say, oh, this is not good. You saw it in Washington. We had gangs of Tren de Aragua with 10, 12, 15 kids. And these military guys walk up to them and they treat them with disrespect, and they just got pounded. They just got pounded. The gang just pounded, then thrown into paddy wagons and taken back to their country. Some are so dangerous, we don't want to even do that, because we don't want to, some of stone cold murders, we don't have the confidence, even though they're not coming back very easily. We don't have the confidence. We put them in jails. But these service members are following in a great and storied military tradition, from protecting frontier communities to chasing outlaws and bandits in the Wild West. And our history is filled with military heroes who took on all enemies, foreign and domestic. You know that phrase very well. That's what the oath says, foreign and domestic. Well, we also have domestic. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Grover Cleveland, George Bush, and others all used the armed forces to keep domestic order and peace. Many of our leaders used the military to keep peace. Now they like to say, oh, you're not allowed to use the military. And you know what the people say? The people in those cities where they're being raped and shot and beat up, you know what they say? We love the military. You ever see where they interview the people on the street? I've never seen somebody say they don't, unless they're radical and paid off, because a lot of these insurrectionists are paid by, whether it's Soros or other people, but they're paid by the radical left. So today I want to thank every service member, from general to private, who has bravely helped us secure the nation's capital and make America safe for the American people. It's amazing. The whole world is watching. Everybody in the White House, they come up to me, young women, sir, thank you. I know immediately what they thank you. They don't have to say it. They walk to work now to the White House. We haven't had a crime in Washington in so long, because we got the careers. We call them the careers. We got these lunatics out, and they'll never be any good. You know, I hate to tell this to the liberal media. You could spend time with them. You could do whatever you want. You could send them to the finest schools, which they couldn't get into anyway, mentally. They couldn't get in, but no matter what you do, they'll never be good. They're bad. They're career criminals. I don't know, maybe they were born that way. Some people don't like me to say that, but maybe they were. Certainly some were. Together with the leaders here today, we're also restoring a needed focus on defeating threats in the Western Hemisphere. Throughout this region, cartel terrorists have been allowed to wage a relentless campaign of death and destruction on our country, all because we had weak leadership on top. And we did a great job with it first term, but this is something else what we're doing now. We're taking it to the next level, probably next level times 3. But we had COVID come up, and we had to take care of that. We did a great job with COVID. We had the therapeutics. It was just Regeneron. So many things we did for COVID, but we had to focus on that. And every other country in the world was being decimated by COVID. So we had to change gear a little bit to take care of that. But under our leadership, the military is now the knife's edge in combating this sinister enemy. We have to put the traffickers and cartels on notice, and we've done that. And we put them, a lot of them, we've called them a terrorist organization, which is actually a big thing to do. Nobody's done it, but I've done it with a lot of them. It gives you a tremendous advantage. If you try to poison our people, we will blow you out of existence, because that's the only language they really understand. That's why you don't see any more boats on the ocean. You don't see any boats. Around Venezuela, there's nothing. As president, I will never hesitate to defend our people from threats of violence, from the horrible plague that's taking place from within. The Iran nuclear power, the Iran, all of the great power that we thought existed, we blew it out to kingdom. We took advantage of it, and we just really took advantage of it, and it was a beautiful thing to see, and that's what military power can achieve. That's why I chose Raising Cane. He's fantastic, by the way. I hope you all agree. If anybody disagrees, could I please have your hand? Who disappears at Raising Cane is no good? Just raise your hand. I don't see any hands raised. All right. That means you're okay. That means that he's okay now, but I saw his results. You know, he took out ISIS. I was told it was going to take 4 years. It took 4 weeks. I went to see him, and he took him out in 4 weeks, knocked him out, knocked him to hell. And I was told by military people it was going to take 4 to 5 years to do it. And I don't even know if we'll have it then, sir. These were the Washington generals. I call them the television generals. But Raising Cane did it in 4 weeks, took out 100% of the ISIS caliphate. As a result of these actions and many others since my inauguration, we're witnessing the triumphant return of peace through strength. We have great peace through strength. America is respected again as a country. We were not respected with Biden. They looked at him falling downstairs every day. Every day the guy's falling downstairs. He said, it's not our president. We can't have it. I'm very careful, you know, when I walk downstairs like I'm on stairs, like these stairs, I walk very slowly. Nobody has to set a record. Just try not to fall, because it doesn't work out well. A few of our presidents have fallen, and it became a part of their legacy. We don't want that. You walk nice and easy. You don't have to set any record. Be cool. Be cool when you walk down, but don't pop down the stairs. So one thing with Obama, I had zero respect for him as a president, but he would pop down those stairs. I've never said, da-da-da-da-da-da, pop, pop, pop. He'd go down the stairs, wouldn't hold on. I said, it's great. I don't want to do it. I guess I could do it. But eventually, bad things are going to happen. And it only takes once. But he did a lousy job as president. A year ago, we were a dead country. We were dead. This country was going to hell. We were dead in every way, from immigration to military. We didn't have the weapons. We were given everything to Ukraine. We had nothing. And by the way, I have to tell you, now, as you know, I went over and I met with NATO, and NATO raised from 2 to 5, which everyone said 5% of GDP. Millions and now trillions of dollars are pouring in. They didn't pay the 2% because they know we were there to pay it. And now they paid the 5%. That's trillions of dollars. And we're not spending any money on that war, not 10 cents. We sell our equipment to NATO. NATO pays us for the equipment, and they give it to Ukraine or whoever they give it to. They can keep it, but we're not involved. We have no money going out. Biden gave $350 billion, not sustainable, $350 billion. And we have a war that should have never started. But we're not doing that anymore. So I just want you to know we're selling equipment. Our people are buying equipment. They are buying the equipment at full price, a fair price. So I don't want to say we're making money, because I don't want to be making money on a war. It's too many people dying. They're losing 7,000 soldiers a week. A lot of them are Russian soldiers, but between the two countries, mostly soldiers, by the way. Sometimes, you know, in Kiev, they'll lob a missile in or some drones in, kill some people. But mostly it's soldiers. Russia and Ukraine are losing 7,000 souls. And, you know, they're not American. They're not us. They're not you. We have a special obligation. But they're soldiers. They're young people. They leave their parents. They wave goodbye. And then 2 days later, they're blown up so unnecessarily. And so that's the primary reason I want to get it done. We got to get it done. It's crazy what's going on. That's the worst war that there's been since World War II. The number of soldiers that are being killed there is just crazy. From 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers die a week. Think of that. So I think we'll get that done, but that's turned out to be the toughest one. I'm so disappointed in President Putin. I thought he would get this thing over with. He should have had that war done in a week. And I said to him, you don't look good. You're 4 years fighting a war that should have taken a week. Are you a paper tiger? And it's a shame, but I think eventually we'll get that one done, just like in theory, I want to knock on wood because you never know. It's like we're going to have the Middle East done, which is actually a much harder thing to do. I mean, thousands of years, but we have to get that war done. So now just think of it, we're a dead country. I was with the King of Saudi Arabia, a great guy. I was with the Emir of Qatar. I was with the great leadership of UAE. I was over there. We brought back $2 trillion and more. They ordered 200 planes, Boeings, they ordered so much, and they were great. But they all said essentially the same thing. They said, 1 year ago, you were a dead country, and now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country in the world right now. The absolute hottest country in the world. There's nobody even close. Putin said that to me. We met in Alaska, had a good meeting. Then he went back and started sending drones into Kiev. I said, I thought we had a good meeting, but it's one of those things. But we were a dead country a year ago, and now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. Think of that. You can be proud of that. And you must have felt like hell when you have a wife or a husband at home, and you used to read the numbers that we can't get people to join the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. You must have felt like, I have a job that nobody wants. That doesn't feel good. Well, now you have a job that is brimming over with people wanting it. They want it. And you're able to get a much higher quality because now you have your choice. You want so many. And we're going to have many, many people that aren't going to be able to join because of the fact that we don't need them at this moment. But think of it, what a difference that is from, I could just imagine 2 years ago, you're reading front page articles in the New York Times, of course, and Wall Street Journal. They always give us unfair stories, but they played it so big. They were playing it so big. Nobody wants to join the Army, the Marines, the Air Force. They don't want to join. They don't want to join the Coast Guard at all. Nobody wants to join. Nobody wants to join our police forces. Our police forces also. It's almost went hand in hand. And I used to say, boy, I'm speaking in front of the military today, and it's embarrassing because I'm speaking in front of people who have a job that other people don't want, but now you have a job that everybody wants. So I think that has to make you feel good. It's one of the reasons I love being here today, because I wanted to say that. I have to say that everybody wants to be in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines. If you think the Coast Guard and Space Force, our beautiful Space Force, it's a whole different world. And now they're signing up, by the way, seriously big numbers for the police. Dangerous job, isn't it? Huh? Fire department. But that's the paving the way for progress once thought almost impossible. I mean, a year ago, you wouldn't have thought that was possible. A year ago, they were talking about making the military smaller because they can't get the people to join. We're thinking about making it larger because we have so many people. And it's nice to be able to cut people because of merit that aren't really qualified for any reason, a physical reason, a mental reason. You don't have to take them anymore because you have the pick of the litter, and they all want to be with you. They all want your job. They want to be with you. They want to work with you. They'll even take your job, Got to be a little bit sharp. You got to watch it. But everybody wants to be doing what you're doing now. What a difference when I speak to you, and I can say that as opposed to a couple of years ago when I was talking to rooms where they were desperate to get people and they couldn't get them. What a difference a presidential election can make. That's all it is. It's just a presidential election. Yesterday at the White House, we put forward a plan for peace in Gaza. We announced it, and we're going to create something that was my idea, but unfortunately I got drafted. It's going to be called the Board of Peace, and it's going to reign over that territory, and we're going to get that done. And they asked if I'd be the chairman of the Board of Peace. I wasn't counting on that. I had the idea for the Board of Peace, but I said yes. And I guess because of that, every leader, everybody wants to be on the Board of Peace. And we're going to watch over that very volatile part of the world and keep it non-volatile so you don't have to get involved. We want to save you for other things or save you for nothing from that standpoint. We don't want you fighting wars, but if you have to, you're the most lethal fighting force in the world. And I would say that even 2-3 years ago, but now I say it with great enthusiasm. It's so true. And we're striving tirelessly to end the terrible war in Ukraine. And as you know, we're also working hard to get the allies to share more of the burden of our defense. Much of that has really already taken place. But all NATO members have committed to the increase that I talked about. Think of that. That was unthinkable. It used to be 1%, then we got it up to 2% in my last term. And they did not like it. And now I got it to 5%. And I get along great with all of them. In fact, they call me the president of NATO. I said, I don't think so. But they're great. They're great people. And they're spending a lot of money. And a lot of money that they should have been spending in the past. But I think Putin was a wake-up call for them, really. We're now selling large quantities of American-made weapons to NATO, and we're getting really fair pricing. We're making a lot of money. It's my hope that from Europe to Asia to the Middle East, our allies will make similar commitments to increase their military capabilities. And this will greatly strengthen our alliances, and also it will make war far less likely. You know, if you're a strong presence like we are such a strong presence now. And I go around bragging about that. I said, we have the strongest military anywhere in the world. I say it. You never heard Biden say that. Never heard him say anything. But you never heard him say, did you ever hear him say, we have the strongest military? He doesn't say that. I say it. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world. We have great leadership. And I'll tell you, Pete and General Kane, all of the people that I've met that have been lifted up in rank. And we got many of them out of here, too. I'll be honest with you. Didn't like doing it, but we got many of you out of here because we weren't satisfied. We know everything about everybody. It'll also help the United States rapidly rebuild our defense industrial base. Each of you can play an important part in getting allies to do their part. So to that end, Secretary Hegseth will soon be announcing major reforms to streamline military acquisitions and expedite foreign military sales. We have tremendous numbers of countries that want to buy our equipment. And, you know, in many cases, it takes too long. They're backlogged. We're backlogged on all the equipment, which is something that's new to us a little bit. And I told those companies, you better get your ass going because we're selling you a lot of equipment. We're getting countries to buy your equipment. You got to produce the equipment. Some of the countries, I'm not going to mention, but some of the countries are buying a lot. And that's a good thing. They're on our side, 95%. I'll never say 100% because it can always turn, right? You know about that. But they're on our side. The problem is we have to get the companies that make this equipment, and we make the best equipment in the world, but they got to make it faster. We have orders for the F-35. We have orders for everything. The new F-47. We have orders for everything. They got to make it faster, a lot faster. Ammunition they have to make faster. In the coming months, we'll be making even more historic announcements to fully embrace the identity of the Department of War. I love the name. I think it's so great. I think it stops wars. The Department of War is going to stop wars. If we are as ruthless and relentless as our enemies, the United States Armed Forces will be totally unmatched in the future. We have a group of enemies that are very ruthless and very smart, but they can't match us. They can't match us. They don't even come close to matching us. Again, you know, it's very important for me to say we are the greatest military in the world, but we make the best equipment in the world. I watched our anti-missile missiles. I watched our Patriots just knock things out like a needle hitting another needle on the stage. There's a needle up there, and you send another needle up, and it hits it every time. During the war, we went 14 for 14. We had 14, this is with Iran, we had 14 missiles coming at us. All 14 were knocked out of the sky, every one of them. We make the best equipment. From Sparta to Rome, to the British Empire, to the United States of America, history has shown that military supremacy has never been simply a matter of money or manpower. At the end of the day, it is the culture, spirit of our military that truly sets us apart from any other nation. Our ultimate strength will always come from the fierce people, those brilliant people with such pride and the unbending will and the traditions of excellence that have made us the most unstoppable force ever to walk the face of the earth. And that's what we are. Remember, we never want to use it, but we have the most powerful nuclear capability, and I call it nuclear deterrent of any other country, nobody close. The men and women in this room inherit the legacy built and won by Washington and Jackson, Grant and Pershing, Eisenhower and Patton, Nimitz and LeMay. We carry forward the majestic military heritage passed down from father to son, soldier to soldier, and one generation of warriors to the next. You are warriors, you know that, right? You're great warriors, or you wouldn't be in this room. You're the best of the best. From Concord Bridge to Fort McHenry, from Gettysburg to Manila Bay, from Normandy to Sicily, and from the jungles of Vietnam to the dusty streets of Baghdad, America's military has charged into hellfire, climbed up jagged mountains, crossed roaring oceans, and thundered across open deserts to defend our flag, our freedom, and our homeland. Nobody does it like you. Now we are discovering American muscle, reasserting American might, and beginning the next story chapter in American military legends and lore. That's L-O-R-E. It is lore. When it comes to defending our way of life, nothing will slow us. No enemy will stop us. They cannot stop us. And no adversary will stand in our way. They won't stand in our way. We don't want them to stand in our way. We don't want to even put them in that position, but they're not going to stand in our way ever again. You'll never see 4 years like we had with Biden and that group of incompetent people that ran this country that should have never been there. Because we are the United States military, the best, the boldest, the bravest that the world has ever seen, that the world has ever known. With leaders like we have right here in this beautiful room today, we will vanquish every danger and crush every threat to our freedom in every generation to come, because we will fight, 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 and we will win, win, win. I want to just thank you once again, and God bless the United States military, and God bless America. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, hell yeah. Do my best to not say amen during that speech and not like shout audibly. Sorry that we had a little glitching with the feed. The feed that we were using was the Pentagon feed. So I don't know. Someone's getting fired. But we switched over to the White House feed, and that feed was clean as whistle. President Trump waxing poetic for an hour and 20 minutes to the generals. An hour and 20 minutes to every single general, admiral, flag officer in the United States military, President Trump dropping truth nuke after truth nuke and just sort of like giving a state of the military play. Like just saying we're going to lead through strength. We're going to abandon some of the horrible policies that led to a woke military and a military that doesn't win wars. That is far more concerned about like having transgender bathrooms and pregnant fighter pilot suits and woke advertisements, getting activists into the military. You talk to anybody in the military, they'll tell you that the biggest issue right now in the military are the people who signed up actually during the Biden era. That signed up because they thought that this would be a woke welfare program for them and that they never had to fight wars. I'm on a text chain right now. And I'm talking with a couple of guys, real skull crackers in the military, GWAT veterans, people that are still in, people that still go fight and do very, very dirty and dangerous things to keep us all safe at night. Very mean men. And they're saying their biggest problem is that the people who signed up during the Biden era, that President Trump just spent most of the speech talking about, those people don't want to kill. They don't want to fight. They didn't sign up to kill. This is something that they hear regularly. And these are men who are in command in the military, and they have hundreds, if not thousands, of troops under them. And they're saying that this is the biggest problem, is that because the military projected itself as some type of woke social experiment, that everybody who signed up during that time believed that they were signing up in order to embrace some type of Pixar version of the military, Pixar movie version of the military, with like love and feels and like handing out like aid packages. That's not what the military does. And President Trump coming in over the top after the Pete Hegseth absolute barn burner of a speech, and President Trump coming in over the top and saying, let's freaking rock. It's beautiful. Between the two of them. Very interesting. Pete Hegseth took sort of the stick approach, right? Trump took the feather approach, right? Carrot approach. President Trump was like very calm. Like actually after Pete Hegseth's like General Patton style speech, you didn't need someone to come in over the top and like scream and yell and rage and rant. Pete Hegseth did enough like masculine energy, and Donald Trump came in like very cool and chill, like joking a little bit, like loosening everyone up, and then being like, if you don't like what I have to say here, then you're all going to lose your ranks and you'll all be fired. This is how Trump starts the speech. But sort of like giving what seemed like not a scripted speech at all, and just Trump off the top of the dome, where he is the absolute best, speaking to his generals just as people and like talking through the issues of the world, whether it be Gaza or Ukraine, Putin, his relationships with various African countries, how the American military is advancing in technology, how we're behind in technology, and then the culture changes that need to happen. It was pitch perfect between Trump and Hegseth. Pitch perfect. Well done. I can understand why young men would want to sign up for the military. In fact, young men are signing up for the military in record numbers. It has been one of the single highest recruitment seasons by percentage ever for the American military. And it's because of Trump's guidance. Now, maybe you're not going to sign up for the military. Maybe that's not for you. I can tell you this. I come from a military family. Many members of my direct family fought for this country. It's something that is incredibly proud, and I got to tell you, if this version of the Pentagon goes forward, I have two sons. Like, I would be very proud if they enlisted in the military as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if that's not for you, then you can still enlist for Trump. You can still own, well, a little piece of American strength. This is my, look at the size of this thing. That is a massive tumbler. This is my Trump tumbler in the morning. And mornings like this, we're going to be live for like 3 hours today. Mornings like this, you got to lock and load. This is like a tank shell. This is the size of a tank shell. Ka-ching. Ladies and gentlemen, my Trump mug from my Trump store. It's a beautiful store. It's just the best. The quality of these products are incredible. We were going to do a hat giveaway. I'm just going to talk to you guys about this. Ashley, I am demanding. Everybody emailed Ashley. We picked winners to give away the Trump hats. Ashley, I have the hats. Production team, lock in with me today. Well, I apologize for those of you who want a hat from the Trump store. Here's the thing. Our team has been redlining for the last couple of weeks. You obviously know why. And so I hope that you will give us grace in this as we send out our hats, as we send out the hats that we were giving away actually the day on September 9th. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the point is that we want you to have a piece of, well, true Americana. We want you to be uplifted. We want to engage with you. We just gave away a bunch of Charlie shirts, right? We want people to live their American pride out loud. And that's what the Trump store allows. It's a beautiful thing to walk through an airport and see a MAGA hat, isn't it? It's an amazing scene to be at the grocery store and see a dude wearing like a Donald Trump holding an American flag saying "Fight, fight, fight" shirt. Like, this just awesome. It warms my heart every time I see it. The point is that there's a lot more than just shirts and hats at this incredible Trump store. They do have these sleek, structured hats that are iconic, but they also have elegant drinkware and luxury home goods and things that are handcrafted with care, like the little teddy bears that my kids sleep with every single night, little Trump teddy bears. The point is that this brand has strength, pride, and timeless style. Go to trumpstore.com. Use my code Benny15 at checkout for 15%. Your first order, that's trumpstore.com. One more time, trumpstore.com. Shop smart and proud. And the next time that we talk about the Trump store, I'm going to have photos of the people who won the Trump hats. And then what we're going to do is we're going to give away more Trump hats from the Trump store, okay? So we're going to have the photos to prove that we sent the hats out. They're literally just sitting in my office here. We're just going to lock it in, get them shipped out today. If you won the Trump hat last time, you're getting your hat today, okay? The end. Ashley, this is our mission today. Forgive us. We've been letting her rip over the last couple of weeks. So thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump is, well, getting paid. Holy moly. YouTube will pay President Trump $25 million to settle a lawsuit over 2021 account suspension. This is now Donald Trump has made $100 million off lawsuits from either corporate media companies or social media platforms that banned him. The total and complete absolute reversal. And it has been an amazing thing to watch. $100 million, man. Trump sued the Alphabet-owned video sharing platform in July 2021, alleging that YouTube unlawfully silenced his conservative viewpoints. The company suspended his account. The lawsuit was originally for $200 million, and Donald Trump has settled for $25 million. Nice. The settlement happened yesterday evening. The bulk of the money will go towards construction of the new White House ballroom. Now, that's nice. Wow, that's interesting. Some of this money may also go towards his presidential library. Nice. We actually have a big announcement on that. Can you please grab that Eric Trump tweet? We want to make sure that everybody understands that there's been a massive announcement. We are not even through year one of the Trump administration, and they're already building his presidential library. Presidential libraries often take decades. Obama's is not even close to done. It is a hideous, brutalist cement block that looks like a toll booth or a trash can in Chicago. There's no end in sight. I think Donald Trump's presidential library will probably be done by the time he leaves office in 2028. Eric Trump announcing that Miami they have begun breaking ground on Trump's presidential library. Do you understand this? This is so awesome. Get the cheers ready. This is so amazing, the efficiency of this family. I am extremely proud, says Eric Trump, to announce a unanimous vote by the Florida Cabinet of conveyance on the land for the Donald Trump Presidential Library, which will be located in Miami, Florida. Very nice. Not terribly far from us. Very quick flight. There's like 200 a day from Tampa to Miami. Takes like 30 minutes to get there, so we look forward to being there a lot. It will be the greatest presidential library ever built, honoring the greatest president our nation has ever known, and we want to thank DeSantis and the Attorney General of the state. His name's James Uthmeyer. He's been on the program. He's been physically in our studio. Great dude. Who have been incredible partners in this endeavor. Consistent with the with our family's DNA, this will be one of the most beautiful buildings ever built, an icon in the Miami skyline. Rest assured, it will not look like Obama's prison-like structure. Oh, that's good. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's amazing. Things are happening, ladies and gentlemen. Things are happening, and they're happening at a wild and exciting rate. I cannot tell you the speed at which everything is moving right now. I have an important update about the news that we broke yesterday, quite organically, actually, with Nicole Shanahan about saving California. I'll get to that in just one moment. Speaking of moving quickly and adapting quickly, Allio Capital helps us adapt quickly with our portfolio, helps us ensure that while we are working here, grinding in the studio, doing our day-to-day job, most of you are not day traders, but you do want your money to work for you. Obviously, you take $1 and you bury it in your backyard and you don't invest it and you don't invest it wisely. Well, the value of that dollar is just going to be eaten away by inflation, by the idiotic spending of our federal government. No. Make sure that you are investing and that you are beating inflation. Allio Capital helps me every single day do that. Their AI allows for my investments to shift very deftly in a way that follows major economic trends, inflationary trends, breaking news, war, right? All of these things can affect markets, and their AI adapts and moves just beautifully with what I am wanting to accomplish. Macro or micro levels of investment, Allio Capital's got you. Download their app today in the App Store or Google Play. Text my name, Benny, to 511-511. That's Allio Capital. Text Benny to 511-511. Download the Allio app today. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I have announcements, and then we have some great guests that are lined up. I'm just checking in with my producers. Fantastic. Congressman Mark Harris is getting ready to rock. Okay. So let's talk about what's been happening. Hey, Alex, could you grab my tweet about Kid Rock and California? We're going to make some announcements today. So yesterday we talked, or maybe just grab like the Nicole Shanahan. I want Nicole Shanahan tweets, Steve Hilton tweets. Just grab a couple of those just to pop up. Because I want you to understand what the show is going to be about. Yes, the show is about memes. Yes, we want to have fun here in the stream. Yes, we want to take Trump live and like have like a great, obviously like look at the chat, love the chat. We love the chat. We've added new emojis to the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, I think Jerry has added a Christendom emoji, a Christendom Christ-centered emoji. We'll see. Jerry's designing one right now. But anyway, the point is that the show is here for us to have community and to organize. That's the purpose of the show. What do we want? We want to leave our country better for our children than we found it. That's the goal. That's the mission of the show. We want to leave a functional country to our children. We want to deport the communists. Okay? It's a great thing. And we want to do this through victory. We want to do this not through like there's, it's like what we did with Jimmy Kimmel. Everyone yap, 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 yap. No, you have to actually fight. You have to actually leverage and wield power. You have to find pressure points and use them. Republicans are such weaklings. And so much like we did this weekend with Penn State, and much like we're about to do in New Jersey, we're going to announce something very big in New Jersey. We're going to do something very big because New Jersey can be won. New Jersey, we can have a Republican governor in New Jersey. We can flip that state red. And we can flip California red. And we talked about this with Nicole Shanahan yesterday. Nicole popped up the post and went thermonuclear. Nicole popped it up and she was like, you know, who wants us to save California with Benny Johnson and Scott Pressler? And boy, this thing cooked. Steve Hilton posted it as well. Please click on the original tweet here. Boy, this sucker, look at that. Millions of views. We posted it as well. Millions of views. And we mean it. So we are about, like, here's what the show is going to do. And this is what, of course, somebody who very much served as a brother and a mentor to me, Charlie Kirk, taught me, quite frankly. And so we're doing it in honor of him. You have to take that digital energy. You have to take the clicks and the views and the likes and the comments, and you have to turn it into something real. The left would like for everything to just stay in a digital ecosystem and for us to not actually organize, for us to not actually register voters, for us actually not to push signature petitions to get voter ID on the ballot in California. They don't want that. The right has all the digital energy. We have the biggest creators. We have the most robust ecosystem. We are the smartest when it comes to free speech. It's the most attractive for young people. Nobody wants what the left is selling. Nobody wants anything that they're doing. Everybody can see that the left is in wholesale collapse and that their policies have utterly failed the American people. They want liberty. Liberty provided to them by their Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, but also exercised through a constitutional government, morally run by people who love this land and don't hate it. And so we have so many advantages. But the one thing that the left does that we don't do is organize. And so this show is going to be taking the enormous amount of digital energy that we have. And if you know someone, tell them to download the podcast. If you know someone, tell them to subscribe. Tell them to pour in to this program. Because we are going to be using this energy and we're going to be following simply the incredible guidance of the servant leader, Charlie Kirk. He was a servant leader. Charlie Kirk would show up and was straight up. Man, I wish we could just, you should go find it. You should go find this photo of Charlie Kirk on election night. Where was Charlie Kirk on election night? He should have been inside of a massive rally. He could have been at Mar-a-Lago, sipping a seltzer with a little lime spritz. Charlie Kirk could have been in an arena with 70,000 people cheering for him. But on election night, on the day of the election, 2024, Charlie Kirk was like in Yuma, Arizona, talking to like 17 pink-haired old ladies who were there to like knock doors for Trump. And he was on a park bench. Charlie understood that like the vast majority of the work is going to be like thankless. And it's going to take hitting the bricks, doing the work, signing people up, going town to town, person to person, like being real, like creating something real in the real world. That's what we did with the 5,000 shirts at Penn State. We were able to get those shirts on national TV. We got the #1 sports story in the world. We're not a sports site. We had the #1 sports story in the world, not Barstool, not Outkick. We did. Through our partnership with Turning Point USA and the incredible structure that's been built there, we were able to go and change culture. So we're going to continue to do that. We're going to hit the bricks. We're going to do the work. We're going to register the voters. We're going to sign the petitions. We're going to give the speeches. We're going to do rallies, big and small, in your hometown. And we're going to give touch points for you to understand that it's not only this movement real, but this movement is here to have a real world effect and change your life for the better. Change my children's lives for the better. Your grandchildren, children, or perhaps future children, lives for the better. And you're going to be able to see that real world effect. I want 1 million Charlie Kirk Freedom shirts worn with pride. I want hundreds of millions of MAGA hats worn with pride. And I want to scare the hell out of the left. Because quite frankly, it's a spiritual war, and a lot of this stuff does come straight from hell. And so that's the war that we're fighting. A war of darkness versus light, good versus evil. And we're going to take that evil energy and we're going to turn it into good. That's the promise of Christianity. And so yesterday, it was just like natural with Nicole Shanahan. She's like, I want to put voter ID on the California ballot. Well, guess what? If you get voter ID on the California ballot, here's what you got to do. You got to get 1 million signatures. And if you get 1 million signatures, then it gets placed as a question on the ballot during the election, 2016 election. And that question, you got to get the signatures in this time frame of October to March. You got to get 1 million signatures. They're going to throw some out, so you got to get more. It's actually 825,000. But you got to get more than that because they're going to try and throw them out. Remember, Democrats don't care about signatures as long as there are people voting for Democrats in Maricopa County. They could care less about like the little scribbles, right, on all the mail-in ballots. But if it's something like this, they're going to track every single name, every single signature. They're going to do everything they can. So you got to like flood the signatures in California. If you get mandatory voter ID on the ballot in California, by the way, this was just done in Wisconsin. It can't be done. Yeah, they did in Wisconsin. Democrats didn't even fight it because they know how terrible it's going to look if they try to actually run a campaign against mandatory voter ID. Voter ID, as we have demonstrated on this program, is possibly the single most lopsided issue in America. Grab the polling. It's the most lopsided issue in America. It's a 90-10 issue. Democrats are often on a 20-80 or a 70-30 split. This is a 90-10 issue. We are going to get the signatures to place that question on the ballot, and it will win overwhelmingly. As long as we get the signatures, they have to place it on the ballot. They don't have a choice. It's the way California works. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm telling you, the way that God works is remarkable. I'm probably saying too much here, but I've already had people offering millions of dollars to help out. I've had donors come to us and say, we are ready to give you whatever it takes to get this done. I've had some of the biggest superstructures and some of the biggest names in the world, in politics and in entertainment, come to me and say, we will do whatever it takes in order to get this done. So prepare for massive rallies, prepare for a massive operation, prepare for us to be the cheerleader, ringleader for this issue. This is actually how we, in a real world way, save the country. And let me present to you something remarkable about the state of California. State of California has 54 electoral votes, 54 House seats. They're actually the single most lopsided and gerrymandered state in the country when it comes to the allocation of those House seats by congressional. You could potentially add 10 to 20 House seats. If you had fair elections in California, you could add 20 more votes for Republicans in the House of Representatives. You could throw the House of Representatives not by redistricting, but by literally just having fair and free elections without illegal criminal votes in California. You could win the House forever. You could make it so out of bounds if you just had fair elections in California. Imagine how terrified Democrats would be if you had fair elections in California. Pardon me. And if California went into play, do you realize how impossible it would be for a Democrat to win without California? They're already going to lose 5 electoral votes in the 2030 census. So they're already at a disadvantage. And then if you put California in play, if you started winning there in the culture war, and if Democrats had to go defend California, do you realize how broke they would already be? They had to go there and try and have to defend their home territory. This is what winning a war is. We just were at the Quantico with Trump and Hegseth. This is like a culture war. I am not a military man. I have not served in the military. I got friends and brothers who have. I love them all. But we have a different battlefield, and I'm pretty good at fighting on it. And we've gotten real results in our culture war against the left, in our tactical culture war against the left, because frankly, culture matters more than politics. And California is the epicenter of culture, and we're going to go deliver a California revival. And that's what I'm going to call it. I made that decision right now, live on the show. We're going to call this the California Revival Movement. And we're going to be working with some of the biggest names in California, some of the biggest names in all politics, some of the biggest names in culture. And this is going to scare the hell out of the left. I use that term on purpose because it is a spiritual battle. And when you're assassinating people, and when you're killing and shooting up churches, and when you're continuing to use the language, of course, that begets assassination, as Gavin Newsom's team has done to Stephen Miller over the last 24 hours, makes me very angry. Stephen Miller is my friend. Charlie Kirk is and was my friend. Charlie Kirk, alive in heaven with his Savior, Jesus Christ, but gone from this mortal plane. That's just evil. That's what Gavin Newsom is doing right now. So it's time, ladies and gentlemen. You wouldn't believe the phone calls I've gotten over the last 24 hours. We're going to be using the power of this audience for good. Remember, when you subscribe, when you like, when you follow the show, when you share a clip, when you tell your friends to do the same, that's what you are encouraged. This is what you are building into. It costs you absolutely nothing. I don't ask anyone for anything. The like and the subscribe, they're totally free on any platform that you're watching on. But that's what you're helping us build. That's what you're helping us build, is the power to go and do this and have a real world. You'll be part of it. You'll be part of it. You'll have a say. You'll have a piece of that history with me, us, together. We're going to go stage a revival in California. Get ready. California revival, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to change the country forever. Okay. Very excited about that. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like I'm just checking in. I'm checking in with my team here. After that little rant, had to give you an update. Looks like Crawford, Chairman Rick Crawford, is set and ready. We had a wonderful Congressman Harris, but I've heard that his internet has gone completely out where he lives. And so, unfortunately, he's from North Carolina. We're going to be asking him about, obviously, the Arenas Estruca and so on. But unfortunately, Congressman Harris will not be able to join us. His internet is completely out. Thankfully, we have Rick Crawford, fantastic congressman from Arkansas, a place that we're going to be spending a little bit of time He's also somebody who has a spectacular tie-in with the Pentagon, intel community, with so much of what we've just spent the show chatting about. And ladies and gentlemen, I can't wait to talk with him today. So, ladies and gentlemen, Intelligence Chairman Rick Crawford on the show live now. Thank you so much for joining us. I love the background, Congressman. This is fantastic. Hey, Congressman, are you there with us? Can you hear the show? All right, we're going to pop him off the screen, and we're going to do our best to ask our producers to please make sure that the congressmen know when they're about to go on, and we apologize for that to the congressman and his team. We have a tighter production schedule than that around here, and so we apologize again, and we'll make sure that the congressman is set and ready, because we certainly would like to hop on. It sounds like he couldn't hear us, and so, ladies and gentlemen, we will make sure that the congressman is ready and bring him back. All right? You excited about that in California? You excited about the California revival? Ooh, man, I am. What about illegal aliens? Look at this. You're gonna love this. This is one of the happiest stories of the day. Illegal alien suspects detained after pointing laser at Border Patrol helicopter. Okay. So there's this one illegal alien that was shooting a laser up at a helicopter. Now, this is something that could crash the helicopter. We've seen some helicopter crashes that are horrible. This is something that clearly is intended to harm the pilot. If you point the laser at the wrong, if you hit it just right, I mean, this is like bad things can happen. Another thing that could happen is the helicopter, you could assume that perhaps someone intends you harm or is trying to target you. Right? And so then the helicopter, so then the military helicopter may well, have to engage. Right? It's like a terrible thing to do. So there was this criminal alien's doing this, shining a laser at the helicopter. So they raid him and they find a bunch of other criminal aliens. It's like amazing. It's like a Joseph A. Banks suit sale. You get 3 for 1. 4 people are in custody after one of them allegedly pointed a laser at law enforcement aircraft flying over Portland. Of course, it's Portland. Federal Bureau of Investigation, Portland Division, announced on Monday that they located and searched the home of a suspect who's accused of aiming a laser at Customs and Border Patrol helicopter. The helicopter, as well as another aircraft, was being used to conduct law enforcement activity. They were pointing a laser at it, according to the FBI. And the FBI raided the home and found a bunch of other criminal aliens. Come on, man. Agents contacted the suspects as well as other people who lived at the home on Monday morning to determined that they were all in the United States illegally. All 4 of them are now in ICE custody, and their identities have not been released. Very good. I believe we have a local news report. Let's rock.
Enforcement agencies have taken 4 people into custody after they say they pointed laser pointers at a Border Patrol helicopter over the skies of Portland. The FBI Portland Division says Customs and Border Patrol were in the sky Saturday when several people aimed laser pointers at them. The FBI, Homeland Security, and other federal agencies serving a search warrant at a home that they say was connected to this incident. They say those 4 suspects that they took into custody are also undocumented and were transferred to ICE enforcement and removal spots.
Oh boy. Well, you know what? I hope they have a very Feliz Navidad wherever they happen to be going next. What did Pete Hegseth say today? You F around and you find out. F-A-F-O. Do we have that clip, Klein? Let me just put that up one more time. I promise. I don't normally replay clips, but it's just such a beautiful clip, and it's only like 10 seconds long. Give the people one more Pete Hegseth. F-A-F-O. Go.
Precision and ferocity of the War Department. In other words, to our enemies, F-A-F-O. If necessary, our troops can translate that for you.
That's great.
Another way to put it is peace through strength. brought to you by the warrior ethos. And we are restoring both.
Boom. Very good. They effed around and they found out. Ladies and gentlemen, I say Feliz Navidad on purpose because, well, Christmas is coming up. We are going to be launching our Christmas store all over again. Last year, we were the #1 Christmas ornament salesman in the world because of our Donald Trump electoral map. I used to have one in here. I have a little, I have a standing desk here and I have a drawer, but I don't have anymore. So let's make sure that we have the ornament. I want the ornament in the actual desk. But anyway, it was this, maybe you have one. People come up and like show me pictures of their Christmas ornament. We sold a lot. I mean, we sold like, I think 55,000 of these Christmas ornaments. And we don't do that professionally. We sold them for literally at cost. We sold them for $5, right? We sold them, and we handmade them. We made them here in America, and we sold them for $5. Anyway, it was a massive success for our team, and we're so excited about it. And we have new stuff that's going to be the same thing. We're just going to sell it at cost. We want every hat in America to have a MAGA hat. We want every chest in America to have a Charlie Kirk Freedom shirt on it. There's a good example right there. And we want every Christmas tree to have our Christmas ornament. I know we filmed like a promo video. Can you grab that? It was a year ago. We filmed like a really nice, very like crispy promo video for the Christmas ornament. I'm just so proud of it. And we're going to do it again. Every tree should have one of these. And it's $5. There's a good one. There's your country. By the way, that blue coast over there, that's going red. We're going to help. Maybe we should do it this year. Maybe we should do like coming soon, states that we will flip red. Should we do that? New Jersey and California? Anyway, the point is that it makes us very proud. And get ready for more of that. Shopify is the company that helped us deliver these Christmas ornaments. We could not do it without Shopify. We could not do it. Alex, find the video. I want that video. We like made a video. We made a promo video for the actual ornament. We're going to be opening up our store. Shopify is going to be helping us. They're actually helping us right now build the backbone and infrastructure, making sure that we can ship quickly, accurately, and get these ornaments out to everyone. We are not going to do what happened last year. What happened last year is we were up all hours of the night. We never stopped. We made ornament. We redlined for 24/7. No, man, we are preparing this year, and Shopify is helping us. They helped us last year, but the inventory part is up to us. Shopify not only allowed us to have one-click ordering for these ornaments. Again, we're just going to do them at cost. They're $5. Made 100% here in America by veterans. They're $5. One click, Shopify. Ka-ching! There we go, one click. That's Shopify for us. Not only that, they were able to help us with marketing, the back end on our website, ensure that we had easy integration into the show. They have a bunch of other incredible new widgets now to assist in this. It's going to be amazing. You should use it for your business. What I'm saying is this is how I use it for mine. You use it for yours. Everybody's got a great business idea, right? Shopify can help you do that. They can turn your dreams into an actual ka-ching in your bank account. Give you a success story. Use Shopify. Make the world a better place. You probably have a great business idea. Again, use Shopify to make that business idea come true. So go to shopify.com/Benny. Sign up for their $1 per month trial. Start selling today. Shopify.com/Benny. Shopify.com/Benny. Let's go. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we hear, my producers tell me that our wonderful member of Congress is back in action. Let's see. We have Chairman Rick Crawford from Arkansas, chairman of the Senate Intel Committee, and also a United States Army veteran joining us right now. Mr. Chairman, how are you? Do you got us now? Mr. Chairman, how are you doing? Can you hear us? I mean, I love the background. Listen, I love the background. I love the nature show background. It's beautiful. Producers, I'm sorry, but something's just not right, and we're not going to keep doing this to the poor chairman. I would love to hear what he has to say, But unfortunately, this is number 2, and he just can't hear the show. Maybe it's in his, sometimes when they're using the wireless headset, it's just the way it goes. We do it live here on the program, in case you're wondering. We do actually literally do it live and make sure that those who are joining us are doing it in an authentic way, and sometimes from their backyards in beautiful Arkansas. And that's just like sometimes the way it goes. You have technical difficulties. So I'm sorry, producers. We normally have like really crisp, clean guests, but perhaps there is a problem with the connection there for the chairman. So unfortunately, I think we're just gonna have to move on. We have Senator Rick Scott, who will also be joining us in just a few minutes. So why don't you go ahead and jump on the horn and see if Rick Scott can join us. We had a technical error with our first guest, massive power outage in North Carolina. That's been happening quite a bit, obviously. A lot of those areas are still reeling from the hurricane that happened a year ago. And now we've had, unfortunately, another technical error, and that's just the way that it goes. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, President Trump has every right to talk about the Nobel Peace Prize. He has every right to want the Nobel Peace Prize. Yesterday, he unveiled his 20-point Gaza ceasefire plan, running for the Board of Peace. He's not running for it. He will be running the Board of Peace. And he says that Israel will finish the job if Hamas objects. So let's go ahead and look at the map. All right? Let's go ahead and look at the map. And we did a hit yesterday, talked about, the differences between this and the Ukraine war and the war in Gaza. So here's the map that was proposed by the White House. What you can see here in this map is that, well, Hamas has lost the war. You're not winning the war here. You've lost all your territory. And, most of it's just rubble anyway. And we're not here to debate that. What I'm here to say is that the desire of this show is to not have foreign wars that potentially entangle Americans and cause a new forever war. I am in my late 30s. My entire life, America has practically been in forever war, either in Desert Storm or in Iraq or Afghanistan. My entire life, there's been some kind of idiotic forever war that has plunged our nation's treasury, and then our greatest treasure, like our men and women's lives, like the lives of our men and women, that is our single greatest treasure, cutting them short. I'm done. I'm done with forever war. I don't want it. So what you're going to find on this program is you're going to find that I want the wars to end. I want the war in Gaza to end. I want the war in Ukraine to end. And I don't want these things to spiral out of control as they tend to do. We have allies in both scenarios. And America, you can get hooked and suckered in to broader regional conflicts very quickly. So that's what I want, right? Israel sitting here proposing, hey, listen, you lost the war. This is what's fundamentally different about Ukraine, where Russia is gaining territory, Hamas is losing territory. So it's kind of hard to actually compare the two. It's what makes Russia and the Ukraine war such a more difficult negotiation. But nonetheless, here's what was proposed yesterday. We will give back Gaza to, like Palestinian control. I'm not sure what you really want to call it here, but it's not going to be a terror state. There's going to be a zone where we will retreat back. We'll give back the territory when the hostages are released. You still have hostages. And then when you have mobilized a Trump plan that has been mobilized so that you don't become a terror state. This I can totally agree with. Then there's going to be like a third withdrawal, which is going to be a security buffer zone. Can we do this with Mexico? Like, are we allowed to do that? Am I allowed to say, like, I want the same thing with Mexico? You shouldn't have terror cells operating on your border. Only if you're an idiot would you allow that. That's what's happening in Mexico with the cartels. Can we do the same thing? Can we have our own Gaza plan on the border with Mexico? Goodness gracious. Like, no rational nation wants to exist like that. President Trump proposing this, according to Axios, President Trump bringing to bear a considerable amount of pressure on Bibi Netanyahu to end this war and to be rid of it. All Arab nations support this, which is wild. Let's go ahead and read this. This is from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Qatar. Joint statement from the foreign ministers of Qatar. ALX, help me out here. I know the comment section is probably screaming at me. Everyone screams at me when I say nuclear. Everyone yells at me. I know I say it wrong. Is it Qatar? Is it Qatar or is it Qatar? I'm trying to be an educated man here. I'm trying to be a respectful man. An international man of mystery. Qatar or Qatar? Let's go with Qatar right now. Foreign ministers of Qatar, Jordan, the United Arab Emirates, Indonesia, Pakistan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, they all welcome Donald Trump's sincere efforts to end the war in Gaza. Whoa. That's wild. Now all of my producers are yelling about what it is, whether it's Qatar or Qatar. Now everyone's screaming at each other. All my producers are in the producer chat, like arguing amongst each other. No, we're gonna have to get an actual answer on this. We're gonna have to figure it out. All right. So we'll see, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be joined by Rick Scott here in what should be right now. But like tell the senator right now, Qatar. Officially Qatar. Okay. What does the statement say? The statement says that all the Arabs love Trump's plan. Let's do this thing. Let's give Trump the Nobel Peace Prize and just lock it in right now. 20-point Gaza ceasefire plan. Good. Libs should be celebrating in the streets right now. They won't. But they deserve to give Donald Trump the Nobel Peace Prize for this. Donald Trump saying he's had frustrations with Vladimir Putin in his speech today. But man, this one seems like an easy negotiation because Hamas is like just lost, right? You've lost the war. So it's probably best to just say, let's end the slaughter, right? Let's end the death, let's end the destruction. And nobody wants to have a terror state on their border. Hello, Mexico. Hello. The foreign ministers of Qatar, Jordan, UAE, Indonesia, Pakistan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, all welcome Donald Trump's leadership in the sincere effort to end the war in Gaza and assert their confidence in his ability to find a path to peace. They emphasize the importance of the partnership with the United States in securing peace in the region. Along with these lines, the ministers welcome the announcement of President Trump regarding the proposal to end the war, rebuild Gaza, prevent the displacement of Palestinian people, and advance comprehensive peace plan, as well as an announcement that he will not allow the annexation of the West Bank. The ministers affirmed their readiness to engage positively and constructively with the United States. It's a beautiful thing. This is actually how you de-escalate. This is how you prevent forever war. And that is what this channel wants. Excellent. Okay. President Trump banging his chest and saying, yo, all the Arabs are on board. The Israelis are on board. He announces this, of course, with Bibi at the White House. The Arabs, the Israelis are on board. New Abraham Accords. Like, let's do peace in the Middle East. Let's not do forever war. Let's everyone go make a giant bag. This is a region where like there's tons of resources and money and motion and people investing in. And let's like find a way for everyone to live peacefully and to not have Americans spend another like $7 trillion in the desert and leave all of our equipment to the Taliban and a bunch of goat herders. That'd be awesome for me, okay? I'd rather like take my kids there, on vacation someday when they're older than to like have to worry about my sons being sent over there, right? To be buried in the sand. I don't want that. That's my take, right? Thank God for President Trump, President of Peace. Here's President Trump saying, the Arabs and the Jews, they love my plan. Let's go.
I'm pleased to report that earlier today we took another important step toward greater understanding of the region. A short time ago, we had a historic phone call in the Oval Office with Prime Minister Tani, who's really a great person. So we had a great talk, and I was on the phone, and Bibi was talking. Prime Minister Al Thani was of Qatar was, they really had a heart-to-heart conversation. It was a great conversation, I thought. It was productive. It was everything that you need to have something turn out to be successful. And I want to thank Bibi, and I want to thank the Prime Minister. It was fantastic. We agreed to launch a formal trilateral mechanism between Israel, Qatar, and the United States to begin a dialogue to enhance mutual security, correct misperceptions, and avoid future misgivings. And I want to thank Qatar, its leadership, and the Emir. He's a fantastic person. I think, I'm going to be his public relations man because I know him differently than a lot of people know him. But he wants peace. He wants to see peace. And its people, and they really acknowledge the critical role that they've played as mediator. And again, we're not quite finished. We have to get Hamas, but I think they're going to be able to do this. So,
get you a president who can do both. And I got to say, just before we get to the senator, because I want him to respond, obviously to this very important, obviously President Trump, the president of peace, negotiating peace in the Middle East, and also memeing his enemies. I've often advocated for the Department of Memes. Department of War, very important, but memeing your enemies is what actually most dictators fear. Xi Jinping fears being compared to Winnie the Pooh. Kim Jong-un was called Little Rocket Man, said his red button doesn't work. Donald Trump's actually works. Trump memed Kim Jong-un into peace. Trump memed Chinese leaders to their knees. And Trump is now memeing Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries with an AI-generated video after a failed government shutdown meeting. Now, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries want unlimited money for criminal aliens. Donald Trump is, going to do the full Wakanda, right? We don't do that here. We don't do that here. And Donald Trump has decided that the memes are memes of warfare. Again, I will gladly serve. I'm not going to serve in federal government, but I will gladly accept the role of the chairman of the Department of Memes. If the president will so have me, I will humbly put my hat in the ring for that. Trump mocks Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, an AI-generated video with a failed government shutdown meeting, and we have the meme for you. It is one of the funniest things we've ever seen in our lives. And since the Senator Rick Scott has to work with Chuck Schumer every single day, we thought we'd just play it, and then we'll go to Senator Rick Scott and ask him about this. It does have a naughty language warning, right, ALX? Naughty language warning. But nonetheless, the President of the United States has made a statement, and here it is.
Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us live right now, this distinguished senator from Florida, Rick Scott. Senator, I guess you have the honor of responding to that meme from the President of the United States. Given the fact that you have to work with Chuck Schumer every single day, how do you think he liked it?
Oh, it's nice. I don't actually work with Chuck Schumer. He doesn't talk to me. He won't. The only time he ever says my name is when he attacks me on the Senate floor. He won't get on the elevator with me. So it's actually not that hard. I don't know what's distinguished to laugh at that meme, but you have to laugh about it because unfortunately there's probably a lot of truth said in jest.
Yeah, okay. So I guess let's start with the government shutdown. I know that you yourself are actually a military veteran, so I'd love to get to President Trump's Pentagon speech, at Quantico to all of the generals. But let's start with the government shutdown because that's, I think, going to start ticking away tonight. We may be facing a government shutdown. So the battle lines are that Democrats want to give infinity money to criminal aliens to come here and to illegally break our laws. Is that it?
That's pretty much it. So here's the deal. we are supposed to pass a budget. I've been up here 6.5 years, no budgets. So the Chuck Schumer wants I think it's $1.5 trillion, healthcare for illegals. I guess they think that they're going to vote for him somehow. But with Trump's work to make sure illegals don't have the right to vote, I think that might be a little bit harder going forward. So I don't think there's any question. Schumer's going to shut down the government tonight at midnight. I don't know how he's going to get out of this, because Republicans are united that we're not going to give in to continued unbelievable wasteful spending. We did have a vote last night on a bill that would never allow us to shut down government. Unfortunately, we didn't win that vote either. Democrats completely voted against it, and a few Republicans. Ron Johnson led that effort. But it's a way. Let's stop this craziness of potentially shutting down government. We shouldn't shut down government, although maybe if this gives Trump the opportunity to reduce the size of the government and get us to a balanced budget, maybe it's going to pay off.
Yes, 100,000 federal workers leaving the federal workforce. Can you update us on that? Are those numbers real? What's the status there?
We'll find out. So think about it. How many more federal workers do we need? When I was governor of Florida, we went from about 127,000 workers when I got elected, and down to about 112,000. We've got to reduce the size of government. We're running $2 trillion deficits. We have $37 trillion worth of debt. So, like I love everybody that works their butt off, but government is too big. We've got to get the private sector to grow, not government to grow. So I talked to Russ Vogt quite a bit. He's doing everything he can, run OMB, to figure out how do we get to a balanced budget. If this gives Trump the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending and have non-essential workers not employed by the federal government, think about this. How would you feel, right, if in your show, how many non-essential workers do you have?
We have, most people at my company do like the jobs of 4 or 5 other people, right? Normal employees in the economy. Yeah.
Right. In the private sector, every employee is essential. Otherwise, they wouldn't be an employee.
Yes.
So how in federal government do we pay for non-essential workers?
I mean, I feel like most workers in the federal government are non-essential. I think most of them could be replaced by an AI chatbot, frankly.
Yeah, well, it looks like that might happen, but we got to get to a balanced budget. We're hurting the poorest families in this country with this ridiculous inflation. President Trump is committed to a balanced budget. I know Russ Vogt at OMB is working on it. There's a few of us in the Senate that are working hard to get this done. We have got to balance a budget. And we've got to understand we've got risk out there. We got China's a risk, Russia's a risk, Iran's a risk. So at least we have a president that's trying to bring peace.
Yes, that's exactly right. I want to get to the comments at Quantico in just a moment. But before we move off the shutdown question, so you say there is going to be a shutdown. Are there going to be any Republicans who vote with Democrats to give criminal aliens infinity money from the taxpayers?
I hope not. I think. Well, no. There might be. Unfortunately, some Republicans are going to try to extend the COVID tax credits, which ultimately will give money to illegal aliens. So, but we'll see. We'll see if that happens. We're going to have 2 votes today. Chuck Schumer, let's go spend another $1.5 trillion, and the House plan, which will continue existing spending, which is too high, but it's the only chance we have of keeping government going.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, Godspeed in that endeavor. You have served in the United States. You served in the United States Navy.
Yep.
Petty Officer 3rd Class USS Glover. Is this correct, Senator? Yes. Okay.
Yep.
And
so,
so,
I'm 18 years old. Benny, how much do you think I got paid my first month in the service? What's your guess?
Probably less than a government employee.
$144. I got married when I was 19. My wife married me for my money. I was making a whopping $332 a month.
You wouldn't be able to order off the McDonald's menu with that these days.
No, we did not eat out.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, the horrors actually of inflation and what they've done to the dollar. You were able to survive though, right? You weren't living in a box on the street. You weren't living in a cardboard box. Like you were able to at least live.
We didn't have a lot of, my wife and I both worked. She actually made $75 a week as a legal secretary. And eventually we both finished college and And I went on to get to build businesses and things like that. So that's the dream of this country. I'm in politics for this reason. I want every child in this country to have the same opportunity to live the dream of this country that I had. My mom, she said, you could be anything you want. We live in public housing. You don't even know your natural dad, but guess what? You can be anything because you live in America. That's what I believe in.
Yeah, it's just so, it's a conversation that for another time. But because you say that, it's just so hard for young people to get a house. It's like you being able to live off of a $200 budget per month in the 70s. You're talking about the 70s here. I mean, that again, like that, kids can't get by on a day, on that. Now that's but it's not because of them. It's because actually of how horrifically the dollar has been managed, inflation, and the value of the dollar just collapsing through the floor. So I mean, it sucks. And the cost of everything just exploding, obviously because of the only creator of inflation, which is the federal government and government spending. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, I hope that you come back to talk about that, but I wanted to talk about the military speech that you heard from Hegseth and from Donald Trump. I assume that you were giving a big old hoorah, or whatever the Navy's version of that is, when you were listening to these speeches.
That just make you feel good. I mean, this is the president that wants peace, but he knows, and the Secretary of War said the same thing. We're going to get peace by strength. We're going to get peace because people do not want to cross us. And so I think the Secretary did a great job. I think Trump did a great job. I think when I talk to our military today, they're excited. They have a commander-in-chief that cares about them, that wants them to be able to do their job, doesn't want to end up in forever wars. We don't need to be sending our troops all over the world to be fighting somebody else's war. Let's get peace through strength.
So what would be your message to a young man who wants to enlist in the military today?
Oh, I think it's a great opportunity to serve our country. And here's what you know: your life is not going to be wasted. You're not going to be sent someplace where it's a forever war that we can't win. You're not going to have to go fight for somebody else's freedom when they don't want to fight for their own freedom. So you're going to defend the freedoms of this country. That's what you're going to do. That's going to be your primary and your only responsibility.
It's beautiful. All right. Well, Senator, Godspeed in the Senate. I know you may not be working with Chuck Schumer, but you definitely do work with Mitch McConnell, and for that, I'm sorry. and I guess we'll see how Mitch votes, right? In these shutdown votes, and we'll see what happens. But we want to sturdy up the right flank of the Republicans in the Senate.
It's going to get better, Benny.
Yes, that's the right attitude to have, for sure.
It will.
It's easy in the state of Florida. Perhaps a final comment on some big news that came out of a town that you know very well, Miami, this morning, announcing that they're breaking ground on the Trump Presidential Library, that it's gonna change the skyline of Miami. Well, you've seen a lot of change in the skyline of Miami. You actually brought great change to the state of Florida and great building to the state of Florida. What say you about this? Former governor and now senator from Florida.
It's exciting. It's exciting for Miami, for Florida, and for the president. When I got elected back in 2010, there was a 20-year supply of condos on the market in Miami. And we changed the market. We changed it by cutting taxes, reducing regulation, and we added 1.7 million jobs. And Miami became probably one of the hottest cities to live in the entire world. So Miami is an exciting place to be. It's a great melting pot. We've got some of the smartest people in the world living there that are very entrepreneurial.
Any idea what this library is going to look like? Have you seen any plans?
No, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be magnificent. There will be a lot of gold.
So is it going to be a big golden tower in the middle of Miami?
I'll bet so. What do you bet? By the way, you should see the Oval Office now. Trump added the gold leaves in some of the roof, the ceiling area, and it looks, Trump has done an unbelievable job. Everything he touches, he makes better.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure AI can help us imagine what it'll look like to have a massive golden Trump tower smack dab in the middle of Miami. A growing skyline, that's for sure, and a very impressive one. Don't sleep on Florida and Miami, man. All the smart money, all the smart people coming down here. They know what's next. So Godspeed, Senator. Thank you for making this such a great state to live in. We're proud to call it home. And ladies and gentlemen, Rick Scott is our senator from Florida. He's got 700,000 plus subscribers here on X. You should be one of them. Fight with the people fighting for us. Thank you, Senator.
See you, Benny. Have a good day.
I love that meme. I love that meme. That's just, it's just such a great, that's just great. I saw it. It just brought warmth to my heart. And the senator now is the fact that Hakeem Jeffries has a little mustache and a sombrero. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Okay. Well, it's been a lot of fun, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, we are not going to leave you without our verse of the day, but our verse of the day is going to be read by me when it's on screen here because it's not in the script. Producers, we have had a real one on this show. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes when we're live. So let's pop up the verse of the day, please. And we will rock and roll. Yeah, no? Anyone? No? Let's put up our verse of the day. There we go. What's the actual verse? Come on, boys. Yeah, all right. Genesis. Okay, Genesis. And okay, I'm reading the chat now. Got it. All right. Well, we'll do our verse of the day. We'll rock and roll from Genesis 50:20. You intended it to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. You intended to harm me. What man intends for evil, God intends for good, to accomplish what is being done, the saving of many lives. Man, what a profound verse, especially after everything that we've seen over the last month, especially after everything that we've seen. I mean, it's the last day of September today. Goodness gracious. It has been a profound ride. It has been a profound ride, a powerful one. It's been a ride that, haven't gotten a lot of sleep and haven't gotten, frankly, gotten no time to rest because we witnessed evil move throughout the world. We witnessed evil take a future president, a friend of mine, a brother to me. And I said, I told my wife, get ready for battle, because we're going to go fight evil. And so we've just been doing our level-headed best to do one thing. This is the one thing I want to do. I just want to defend my friend. And I just want to, in our own poor way, take that energy that he brought to everything, that Charlie brought to everything, and, in our own way, continue on that energy. That's it. That's all we want to do. We just want to, make Charlie proud. Charlie was never down. I never saw the dude in a fetal position. He had so much to lose. I saw so many lost battles right after 2020. They investigated him. They were coming to ban him. Social media. I never saw him crying. I never saw him broken. I never saw him weeping. I never saw him broken down. I never saw him depressed. So we are not going to do that. It's a desecration to Charlie, to his legacy to do that. Benny, how you holding up? How you doing? How you doing? That actually, because I worked closely with him and I got to witness it. True warrior ethos. That's what Pete Hegseth was talking about 2-3 hours ago on the stream. True warrior ethos. Maybe line that clip up. Let's do that. Let's line that clip up. There was a clip that we wanted to play for you. We wanted to play you a clip of Hegseth. It's a little bit of a longer one. And then we didn't want to have to interrupt President Trump. Clip 0, I think, ladies and gentlemen. We wanted to play you that. And maybe we'll play you out with this, a true message from the warrior ethos. Pete Hegseth, we got to sit next to him actually at Charlie's memorial. Got to really connect with him. Had a wonderful chat. And man, I think this is the one that we need to close the show on, okay? And we appreciate you rolling with us. We really appreciate you rolling with us during this show. Obviously, whenever you're going live with President Trump for 90 minutes, live with Pete Hegseth, we have a bunch of live guests and ups and downs, with members of Congress. We really appreciate you, just letting us chill here together and build this movement. Before we get to this scorched earth clip of Pete Hegseth, that will hopefully rip your face off. Certainly has done that to the woke generals. Something that won't rip your face off: the bond charge red light mask that I use every single night. Even if we don't have much time for sleep, this is just part of my nighttime routine. Like a little red light sauna is what I use. Keeps us looking refreshed when even we are at our limits. It puts me in sort of a Zen mode to go to sleep. It's all natural. It's beautiful. It's like the red light that sometimes I'm robbed of because I'm here inside of this little black box all day. I spend 16, 18 hours a day sometimes in this little black box. It's great for revitalization, for energy. It's spectacular. Just 10 or 20 minutes of use can leave you feeling totally euphoric, leave you ready to go and have a nice, restful, dark night's sleep. It's sleek, it's lightweight, it travels, has a 1-year warranty. Since using this mask from Bond Charge, younger looking skin, no breakouts, no razor bumps. It's been great, man. Try it today. Go to bondcharge.com/Benny and use the code Benny at save 15%. BONCHARGE.com/Benny. Use the coupon code Benny to save 15%. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Just meant to help you feel good, right? Especially in a time when, when everyone's going hard, right? And that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do for Charlie. That's what the Secretary of War has instructed all of his generals to do. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how we're going to roll. So without further ado, the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, the one clip that I wanted to share with you that we didn't get to is going to take us out today. Pete Hegseth explaining how he is going to remove wokeness and DEI from the military forevermore. What a curse and a cancer it all was on the purpose of our military, which is to fight and win wars and be lethal to protect America. Boy, that's a mission we can get behind. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is Pete Hegseth. And remember, when we fight, we win. Ladies and gentlemen, onward Christian soldier. And in the end, we will win. We'll make sure of it. God makes sure of it. God makes sure of it, right? And we're humbled by God's grace. So here we go. It's been an honor to be with you this morning. Here's the Secretary of War.
This speech today, as I drink my coffee, this speech today is about people, and it's about culture. The topic today is about the nature of ourselves. Because no plan, no program, no reform, no formation will ultimately succeed unless we have the right people and the right culture at the War Department. If I've learned one core lesson in my 8 months in this job, it's that personnel is policy. Personnel is policy. The best way to take care of troops is to give them good leaders committed to the warfighting culture of the department. Not perfect leaders. Good leaders, competent, qualified, professional, agile, aggressive, innovative, risk-taking, apolitical, faithful to their oath and to the Constitution. Eugene Sledge, in his World War II memoir, wrote, quote, "War is brutish, inglorious, and a terrible waste. Combat leaves an indelible mark on those who are forced to endure it. The only redeeming factors are my comrades' incredible bravery and their devotion to each other." In combat, there are thousands of variables, as I learned in Iraq and Afghanistan, and as so many of you did in so many more places. Leaders can only control about 3 of them. You control how well you're trained, mostly how well you're equipped, and the last variable is how well you lead. After that, you're on your own. Our warfighters are entitled to be led by the best and most capable leaders. That is who we need you all to be. Even then, in combat, even if you do everything right, you may still lose people because the enemy always gets a vote. We have a sacred duty to ensure that our warriors are led by the most capable and qualified combat leaders. This is one thing you and I can control. And we owe it to the force to deliver it. For too long, we have simply not done that. The military has been forced by foolish and reckless politicians to focus on the wrong things. In many ways, this speech is about fixing decades of decay. Some of it obvious, some of it hidden. Or as the chairman has put it, we are clearing out the debris, removing the distractions, clearing the way for leaders to be leaders. You might say we're ending the war on warriors. I heard someone wrote a book about that. For too long, we've promoted too many uniformed leaders for the wrong reasons, based on their race, based on gender quotas, based on historic so-called firsts. We've pretended that combat arms and non-combat arms are the same thing. We've weeded out so-called toxic leaders under the guise of double-blind psychology assessments, promoting risk-averse, go-along-to-get-along conformists instead. You name it, the department did it. Foolish and reckless political leaders set the wrong compass heading, and we lost our way. We became the woke department.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. My God, I actually pity those poor bastards we're going up against. By God, I do. We are advancing constantly, and we're not interested in holding on to anything except the enemy. We're going to hold on to him by the nose, and we're going to kick him in the ass. We're going to kick the hell out of him all the time, and we're going to go through him like crap through a goose. Be good. I will be proud to lead you wonderful guys into battle anytime, anywhere. That's all.
Where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.